happened.
We got the magic going on. All right, so I guess we have to do our introductions. This is our first episode. I don't know if you guys can see me on the video. We haven't hammered out our video issues yet, but we are using an old iPod that is way over there. I don't know if you guys can see me. Hi.
Yeah.
My name's Ryan. I don't know if I'm going to go with Roller Bear as my public name from roller derby, or if I'm going to go with Ryan. So we're just going to use that for starting our first episode. So I got my sidekick over here.
My name is Tim. I'm not big on nicknames or anything like that, but a lot of like forums and stuff, I like the name Super Omni, and that was based on like my first car, like Dodge Omni and stuff like that. So you could kind of find me maybe on the internet under that name, but I don't prefer nicknames usually.
Well, I picked mine up from roller derby because everybody has roller derby, but it did take me like 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah.
I couldn't come up with anything, and like my wife is Ginger Snapped.
Yep.
And my announcing sidekick at the time was Sugar Cookie, so I was like, I need a cookie name.
Yeah.
So I almost went with Snickerdoodle or Cookie Monster.
Yep.
And that just never worked out. And then some girl that used to be on the team, she called me Papa Bear a bunch of times. I'm like, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But like the bear thing,
they call me Big Papa.
But like, the bear part I thought was okay, and just I sat on that for like a year or two, and then one day I was walking to my car. My car, I got an old Jeep Commander, and it's covered with stickers, but on the side of it I have a bear, like a camping one. I'm like, Polar Bear, Polar Bear, I can do that. And I'm like, that was really awesome. I was super proud of it, but then like 3 weeks later I was sick of it, but at that point I'm like, that's whatever. I'm happy with that. Names are pretty hard to come by, good ones, because they're always taken.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of like this is our test drive episode.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the camera. I don't know if I can see me or not, but we don't have a name for this podcast yet.
Yeah.
We have like some concepts, and we have our
we jotted down some ideas, and we thought we'd throw it to you all, discuss it here, see what we've come up with on our first episode, see if we can come up with a cool, catchy name, that we can keep going with.
Yeah, and I took some of our ideas and I fed them into some AI for some suggestions, and we got some suggestions we kind of looked at a little bit, but we don't necessarily have one decided on, and even if we decide on one from this list, we have to see something already taken.
Yeah, of course. So don't kill us or sue us.
We'll sort it all out before it's taken care of. But like I seen this one, it was Dad Ventures, which I thought was really cool, but there's already a website and a book and stuff, so we can't use that one.
Yeah, that would be cool, but yeah.
So, like, we kind of had a suggestion from his wife that was the ADD HC.
Hobby Club.
Hobby Club,
ADD
right.
Hobby Club.
That was our suggestion.
Yep.
So we took that idea and I fed it into AI and asked it for some suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go through.
What did it come up with?
I got quite a few. So let me read these. So, like, the first one that came up was Distracted Dad's Guide. Which that's okay. That's no, that's not great, not horrible.
Yep.
Focus, fatherhood, and fun. That one seems like it should be a church podcast or something with fatherhood in there. But
yeah.
The ADHD Dad Squad.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I like this one. Squirrel. Two dads talk about ADHD. And we have Dad, Brains, and Dopamine.
Yep. Definitely got to get the dopamine going with some of the stuff we'll be talking about with our hobbies and whatnot. Definitely gets our dopamine going in the brain. Yeah, well, for those of you guys who don't know, I'm more public facing than he is in general, and those who do know me, that I have 10,000 million hobbies and I do a million things. He's just like me. But one of my hobbies is having sound equipment, which he can see that I have tons and tons and tons. So, very expansive collection down here.
Once we hammer out our name thing today, I'm going to do a demo of my Redneck Together podcast studio here. As you can see, we're not super prepared. We're in my basement, and this is my old DJ table. It's covered with spray paint and all kinds of stuff, and I bolted some stuff to it. My wife's exercise equipment and old stuff, ping pong table in the background.
Yeah, got to start somewhere, though, right?
Yeah. I figure once we have the name, we sort all that stuff out, we can kind of like, pick a nice backdrop and
get it fancy.
I have all these old extra TVs, so we'll actually have a monitor and have guests call in and stuff.
Yeah, of
But
course.
look, we already got sidetracked in our name discussion. So
But that goes with our theme here, the ADD, right?
yeah. All right. So next one here, I got like 30 of them here. So what was the last one I did? Two dads, too many open tabs. The hyper focus hour. Parent mode task switching edition.
That sounds like a self-help one, sort of.
It's even got the semicolon in there. Double dad ADHD. I think that's all of them. From I asked it 3 different times and had some edits. The Attention Adventures, Tales of Two ADHD Dads. I think that's all from the first one.
Yeah.
So then I asked it to come back with some more funnier ones. So, where did we put the kids? Dad Brain the Musical.
Musicals are cool and all that.
Oh, look, a podcast. 2 dads and 47 unfinished projects.
Definitely got a lot of those.
The dad tension deficit.
That's cool.
I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's like dad, and then you cut off the ad and tension part at the end.
Yeah.
Parenting. Now, where was I? Squirrel Spotters Anonymous. They're completely, no one will ever find us because that doesn't make any sense, but I like that name. The We'll Get to It Later show. I didn't wear my glasses, so it's typed small. Dad.exe has stopped working. This is the Is This Podcast Still Recording show? Which, it's still recording. I don't know if the video is still there. It probably should be.
Yeah, we'll find out later, right?
Yeah. We don't have official cameras yet. We're still working on that because we had the idea and I'm just rednecking everything together right now. My cameras are just not good for this.
We're just making it work right now.
Yeah, we have audio and we are a couple minutes in, so we're good there. I'm just using GarageBand for now because I have my old MacBook down here. So where was I at? Forgot our own podcast.
We might forget the name, even if we got a name and we're going through the podcast. Hey, we're blah 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 podcast. Can't remember the name.
Well, this next one would fit the wait. What were we talking about? That one would probably be good. 2 dads and their 500 new hobbies.
Yep.
The We Meant to Start on Time podcast.
Yep. I think we're pretty punctual though.
I'm either exactly on time, 4 hours early, or 10 minutes late for everything. I'm never like 10 minutes early. I'm always way early or 2 minutes late.
Yeah, and this is definitely something we keep on planning to do episodes. We won't leave you hanging. You know, we're not gonna like do an episode and then you have to wait like 6 weeks to hear the next one. This is something we definitely want to do on a regular basis. Yeah,
we have like a list of like 50 things already that we can talk about. I mean, just here in my basement, which is sometime at the end of the video, I'll kind of give the tour of my many projects just from where we're sitting. But my guitar building projects, well, my music projects. I could probably do 10 episodes just on my 3D printer. And
yeah, exactly.
Tim's got 500 things that he does.
Yep, exactly. And always finding new ones, right?
Yeah. This will be my, I think, 4th different podcast. At least my 3rd. I think it's my 4th one.
Yep, I've never done a podcast before, but I did get like really into podcasts like the last 2 or 3 years. Like whenever I'm like driving, going on like a road trip, love putting on a podcast, and I've become a huge fan of them. You know, these last 2-3 years.
Yeah, I listen to about 40 to 50 hours a week of podcasts while I'm at work because I do a lot of math and stuff because I do quality assurance, but I'm measuring stuff.
Yep.
Kind of like mini engineer. With I just do math all day, basically.
Yep.
And it gives me a lot of time to work on podcasts or listen to podcasts because I'm by myself most of the time.
Yeah.
And the only podcast I've listened to lately, this like whole year, is one. It's just nothing but "Am I the Asshole" stories from Reddit. I did hundreds of them. That's my podcast of the year because I've been through. I was an early adopter of podcasts. I started listening to podcasts with like my MP3 player was one of those like. Ones that was like this big.
Yeah.
You put one AAA battery into.
Yep.
And it had like the little LCD screen. That's what I started with, and like 256 megabyte.
Yeah.
And I have a 1st generation iPod Touch.
Yep.
And I used all those. All right, so we got sidetracked from our names already again.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The 3rd time I asked the AI, we got The Dad HD Chronicles. Two Dads and 1,000 Post-it Notes. The We Swear We Had an Agenda show. The Lost Keys and Found Wisdom.
It's interesting.
The Procrastadads.
I don't think we're too much procrastinators, though. We're more like get stuff done. You know?
I'm more like we'll start right away and I just never finish. Sorry I got distracted by shiny things.
I like that whole distraction by shiny things. That's totally me. Bring me to a store or like kind of like a flea market, garage sale, like, you know, anything like that. I'm like, oh, look at that. That's so cool. Well, I need to learn all about that.
I started working on a whole album of songs, and I have a song called Shiny Things. It's just about that subject. Maybe I'll play that here at some point. Where was I at here? Dad Brain, the Missing Manual. The Eventually We'll Finish an Episode Cast.
I don't think we have too many problems with that, though. We'll definitely keep zipping along.
Yeah, we definitely have tons of stuff to talk about.
Yep.
The only problem is it might just be too long. 4 hours on something.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll split it up into a couple episodes, right?
Yeah, it's probably a smart idea.
Yeah.
We'll record it all in one shot, but we'll have to break
split
it
up.
People get bored.
Yeah.
All right, so the Two Dads walk into a browser with 87 tabs. The Our Wives Sent Us Reminder show.
I'm always like, send me a text with a list of things you need me to do because I'll forget.
Oh, yeah. If it wasn't for my calendar app on my phone and my wife adding things to it, I would never remember.
Yeah, exactly.
The Our Wives Remind Us show, yeah. The Mid-Sentence Switchers, which I'm usually not too bad with switching mid-sentence, but my sentences go on forever. Might be the opposite.
I can go into like 3 different directions and then like, what was I talking about? What were we talking about?
Dads who Pinterest at 3 a.m., which I don't use Pinterest. It annoys me.
You know, I looked at it like when it was first out and thought it was like cool, and I was like, oh, this is kind of boring.
I just don't like the way it functions. It's like, download our app and do this. I'm like, I just want to look at the picture. I don't need all this other stuff. The We Had Notes Somewhere podcast. And that's the list that we have so far, so I'm going to ask for a few more.
Okay.
I'm using Claude AI for this. I'm using the free version. So pretty soon here it's going to tell me I had enough. But here's about 10 or 15 more. So, Two Dads and the Time Traveling To-Do Lists.
Time traveling. I think we're going to get into some stuff like that. Time traveling, kind of like, you know, cryptozoology and stuff. We might be hitting something up like that in one of the later episodes.
Yeah, we started with like, we'll just do our hobbies, and then we're like, we're going to talk about aliens and Sasquatch, and we're going to do all this other stuff too. The Hey, That Reminds Me show. That could definitely work. Dopamine Dads Anonymous.
Yep. The
Hyperfixated Fathers Club.
Definitely get hyperfixated on stuff.
Dad Brain Loading. The We Started 3 Other Podcasts This Week show, which I haven't started 3 this week, but I've had many.
Yeah.
Organized Chaos and Cargo Shorts. I don't wear cargo shorts anymore too much, but I have been known to wear them in the past.
Yeah. No, I love shorts, but definitely not a huge cargo short person.
Well, I can't wear them at work, so I usually don't wear cargo shorts anymore, but I have been known to wear them in the past.
Yep.
At my size, there's points in time where I could get a black shirt, a navy blue shirt, and cargo shorts. That was like the only things I could get in my size.
Yeah. Wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Yeah. At least now I have a little more variety. All right, so the We're Not Procrastinating show. Or no, the We're Not Procrastinating, We're Marinating show. Two Dads and their 27 half-read books.
That's what I have. I literally have like a mess of like all these books, like I'm in the midst of reading, like around my bed and stuff like that. It drives my wife nuts. But I'm honestly keep reading. But it's like people are like, how can you read so many books at once? But that's just who I am.
I used to read tons of books, but I don't have enough patience to sit and read them anymore. So I do a lot of audiobooks now. But it's a lot of times it's the same ones over, and they have to be like 10, 12 hours for an audiobook. That's not long enough for me. I need one that's 40 hours.
Yeah.
Which there's not a ton of them, which I'm going through them all. Like
maybe War and Peace.
Well, I like The Stand because The Stand is like unabridged is like 1,600 pages. It's
yep.
Like 50-ish hours.
Yep, I remember one whole summer I read that. Like, used to be a huge swimmer. You know, when I was younger, I remember all the breaks between like swim team practices. I was reading that book constantly. One of my favorite books ever.
Yeah, I've been through that a couple times, and it too. It's like 40 hours the audiobook, but that is. It goes back and forth a lot. It's hard to drop and pick up multiple times because of the different time periods.
Yeah,
it's better than the movie, except for the ending. The ending of the book is not very good.
Yeah, there was that one book he had too. I can't remember it, but it was like the one book that was like good versus evil. You know, kind of like The Stand. But he had like one was Richard Bachman, one was Stephen King, and like the good people that were in the one book were the evil people in like the Richard Bachman. And Richard Bachman was like, you know, Stephen King's pen name, where he wrote a whole bunch of different books. But it was kind of interesting. Like, you know, one book they're good, the next book from their viewpoints are evil.
I forget. It's part of the Dark Tower series, which that's kind of whole thing works together with that kind of theory. But I don't remember which book that is.
Yeah.
I tried to go through all of them, but I kind of lost interest in some of them.
Yeah.
He has some really good stuff, and then he's got some stuff that's really good that just, like, Tommyknockers is really cool, and it just goes nowhere.
Yep.
Like, even it, like, if you've never read the book, and you know nothing about the giant intergalactic turtle.
Yep.
And that's kind of all screwed up.
Yeah.
That whole story. And then if you read all his books, they all take place in Maine.
Yep.
You have Tommyknockers, which the basic story is the lady is walking a dog in the woods. She kicks this thing, and she unburies a spaceship. The whole town turns into aliens, and blah, blah, blah.
They're getting, like, sick, like, radiation sickness and stuff.
But, the radiation turns them into, like, whatever the aliens are. But it's in this one town. It's aliens.
Yep.
And then you have it, which is, I think, like 5 miles up the road.
Yep.
Which, at the end of the day, it's an alien.
Yeah.
Or it's some sort of intergalactic being.
Yep.
And then the giant turtle that fights it, alien stuff. And then a couple towns over from that is Under the Dome, which the TV show Under the Dome abandons the book after like the 4th episode.
Yeah,
exactly. For 4 seasons.
On their own.
But that's aliens.
Yep.
So like 3 independent alien civilizations attack this like 20-mile square part of Maine.
Yep.
And I'm like, and then you go over to Jerusalem or Salem's Lot.
Yep.
And that's vampires.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, before we jumped on here, I was just looking at, because I love going to see movies, and it's actually an adaptation of one of his books, and I think there was a movie too, but Monkey Shines, but it's I think it's called The Monkey now. I saw some of the previews. That's definitely like kind of based on Monkey Shines from Stephen King.
Yeah, I haven't got through all of his books. I was trying to collect them all.
Yeah.
I don't even think I have half of them. I've got a lot of them because there's, I think, somewhere around 80 right now.
Yeah.
And I think I have probably 20-something.
Yep.
But, like, all the classic ones pretty much. Like, everybody in the 80s had Pet Sematary.
Yep, exactly.
I have an old copy of that, which is actually my wife's when she was growing up.
Yep.
I've got, like, it and all that kind of stuff. I don't actually think I have a copy of The Stand. I own the audiobook and I have read the book.
Yeah.
But I don't think I own that anymore.
Yep.
But I have a bunch of those. But we already got sidetracked, already.
Yeah, exactly. But this is good. This is good.
No, switch to a Stephen King podcast. All right. So where was I at here? What was the question cast? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So what was the question cast?
That sounds like a set trivia. What was that question again?
Oh,
yeah, because Ryan and I are part of a trivia team too. We play every week, and we're always like, "What? Can you just read that question again?"
Yeah, it's that's how we got started because his wife plays roller derby, my wife plays roller derby, and my wife wanted to get out and do something. I'm like, well, let's, pick the people you want to do something with, and then let's like find something to do. So trivia is what we did.
Yep.
After a couple of different tries, we decided that Spyglass is the best one because it doesn't have weird prizes, and the food is a tad pricey, but it's not bad.
No, I enjoy it. I always get my same thing,
Yeah.
But a great host, great people there, good, interesting topics.
And I think we've won probably 2/3 of the ones we've done.
Yep.
We've only not got a prize, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yep. Yeah.
We usually get first, or we've gotten second a couple times.
Yep.
But we have our regular crew of 4.
Yep.
And then we kind of have a couple that rotate in.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have, you can follow us. It's the No Drama Llamas Trivia Team on Facebook. We have a theme song, a logo, and T-shirts.
Yeah. So check it out.
People keep thinking that we do them like everywhere. I'm like, no, we just pretty much just do them at the one place. We don't really go too far with it. We just because we did the one at Eclipse, which the food and everything there's fine, but I think we had to pay $5 to play, something like that. It wasn't. It's not like it was expensive.
Yeah.
But it was each individual person plays against everybody else, which I didn't like.
Yeah, I like the team format.
And then one of our friends won, and the prize was like a round of miniature golf, but he won it in November.
Yeah, the middle of November.
They're not open. So it wasn't a very good prize, especially considering we paid to play. Because like Spyglass, we don't pay.
Yeah.
We sit down and we eat. I mean, they're still making money from us because even when we win, we've all spent 3 times that much on the food.
Yeah.
But we've got a collection of prizes, and we're kind of gathering everybody together and having a big dinner here. I think it's next week or the week after.
Yep.
With our like 3 months of winnings.
So if you're local, come out, check us out. Come challenge us in trivia.
Yeah, we're pretty good except for sports. We're like very hit or miss depending on the sport, but we suck at Disney.
Oh God, we think we'd be good because, always like a Disney fan when I was a kid. But it's all like these like newer movies and like these, very vague references or out there references. With the questions.
Yeah, we're like, I didn't watch too many Disney movies after like. Probably like early 90s.
Yeah.
Me personally, because that's when I became like a teenager, and my kids never were really into Disney movies. So basically, from like, I'd say maybe 95 to now, I don't know if I've seen any of those Disney movies, and that's where all the questions are.
Yep, I'm waiting for a Bed Knobs and Broomsticks question because that was like one of my favorite Disney movies when I was little.
I've seen it, but I don't really like. I really liked The Lion King when it came out because I was ruling a Shakespeare because I apparently must have thought highly of myself and I was smart. So that's just Hamlet.
Yep.
But I watched that. I seen it in theaters twice originally, and I seen it was 3D in theaters, which people probably don't even remember that it was out in 3D.
Yep.
Which the secret is they just pushed the back and they put grass in front of everything. So the whole movie just had grass blowing in front of the screen, which was real annoying.
Yep. Didn't see it in 3D, but I remember seeing that in high school.
Yeah, I seen it. Well, you're a little bit older than me. I seen it. I was probably middle school or maybe late elementary school for me, but I was really into it back then.
Yep.
And that's probably the last. Like even the Toy Story movies, I'm aware of all of them after the first one, but I don't think I've seen anything after the first one.
Yep, exactly.
People like keep talking about. I'm like, I don't remember that. So I think I've only seen the first one. I'm aware of characters in the rest of them, but I never actually watched them.
Yeah, so don't invite us to any Disney trivias.
Yeah, we're definitely not good at that. And sometimes we have subjects where I think we're going to be good and we're just horrible. Like we did this week. So I convinced the host. He's only 25-ish, but he was giving us music. Everybody there's our age, give or take, and he's giving us music from like none of us listen to it age range.
Yep.
So I'm like, just why don't you pick the Billboard chart top 10 for every year? Just pick a random year every time. Yeah. So since he's been doing that, that's been working better for us. And we had the perfect round on Thursday.
Yeah, first ever.
No help to me because I think it was 2005.
Yeah.
It was a lot of pop, like singers that it's like the songs that you kind of know, you've heard on the radio, but you don't really. I don't know who sang them or what they're called. Yep. But the women really liked it. They were experts.
They did amazing. They bailed us out.
Yeah, that's probably when most of them were probably early 20s or. Yep. So that's kind of like their high point probably. But yeah, I didn't know anything. Yep. I was kind of disappointed on how bad I did with 1999, which is when I was in high school. I didn't do super good. I wasn't really into pop music, but that was a time where we had TRL and it's like.
Yep. Total Request Live.
Even if you didn't like that stuff. That was kind of the period where Korn kind of took it over. And Limp Bizkit is like even the people that weren't into pop music watched it. But then now they don't have music at all. Yep. But that's a different story. That's old man talk. Yep.
But shout out to Cade from Spyglass. Hello. Hopefully you're going to listen to this.
Yeah, I'm going to send him a link to it. But and our waitress out there, she I don't remember her name is, but we added her picture this week because I took a picture and posted it on our page, and I forgot to get everybody, so we put her into it. Yep. So now she follows us. Yeah. But I put like I walk in there, she tells us to go sit down or whatever because it's wait to be seated, and she knows what drinks we want right away.
Yep, amazing service too. We've never been disappointed with service there, and she's amazing.
And she's always she knows what we want, and she was super happy to get a picture taken with us. And like I posted it, and like she was like the first person to like it. And she didn't follow us.
Yep.
So we have at least one person that's listed, but she thought we did trivia everywhere. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I just got sidetracked with. I made this a Facebook page. I make Facebook pages for everything.
Yeah.
I have Facebook holder pages for ideas I've had that I've never went anywhere with. But the logos are. It's so easy to do logos now because you can do them on like tablets and.
Yep.
You can draw them and color them so fast, and you can edit them and get them ready to print. And I ordered iron-on shirt transfers from. I got them off Amazon, but they're from China, so they weren't super expensive. They turned out pretty good. So we have T-shirts.
Yeah.
And the theme song I wrote one night. I write songs like a third grader would write poetry. It's like here's a sentence about a thought. Here is another sentence about a thought, and here's another sentence about a thought, but it rhymes with the first sentence. And occasionally I switch the scheme up a little bit, but I'm writing middle school poetry, and then I'll fill in the music with a couple of different programs, and then I'll use AI to sing it usually.
Yep.
But you can put out a theme song pretty quick if you do that. So we have a theme song.
Yep. No haikus though.
No, that'd be pretty hard. I can't ever remember the order of that. But yeah, I just use a thesaurus. I kind of like, I have an idea. I'm like, I write the line down. I'm like, what rhymes with this? And then like, it kind of just builds off of that, off the rhyming words more than the original idea. But I wrote probably like 30 songs since I started doing that in like October. And I have an album on Spotify.
You gotta check it out.
Yeah, it was for the Blood Bowl, so it's roller derby. I guess roller derby Halloween theme. Every team had a different name. It was I don't even remember what they were, but everyone was a horror themed name, and I just made a song for each of them. And honestly, there's like 8 lines of lyrics that are just repeated over and over again. And then I got all kinds of guitar and stuff going on that they're full length songs. But I think there's like 10 songs that I put on there. I got a couple other ones, but nothing really that I put out.
And I think we're both real horror movie geeks. Like anything with horror, we're totally about as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was at one point like when we had video stores, I had seen every horror movie that West Coast Video, our local one, had. But I haven't really been getting into them too much lately anymore. But I really don't watch too much new anything anymore. I just keep watching old stuff.
Yeah. I like going to movies though, like just like the whole experience to go on movies. My
favorite thing now is like I was like Fathom Events or something. They'll throw out old movies again. Like I saw. Well, every year the campus up in Lewisburg has It's a Wonderful Life, so we go see that at Christmas every year.
Yep.
I seen Dirty Dancing last year. It was the 40th anniversary or 35th anniversary, something like that. Dirty Dancing is my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I can't really explain why. It's more like the music of the movie and all that, and just a time when it came out, and then I saw it. It's like it just stuck with me, and I just watched it a million times.
Yep.
It's cheesy. It's not great, but it's.
See, I loved Red Dawn when I was growing up, and it's so funny because Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey are in that movie together as well. And most people don't realize, hey, they were in Dirty Dancing, but they're also in Red Dawn together. And there's like a couple weird like cut scenes where there's actually love scenes between those two in Red Dawn. We didn't get to see them, but then it kind of like leads up, hey, then they did Dirty Dancing, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, apparently, they didn't like each other very much in Dirty Dancing. That's what I had seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but that was. I like all of his movies, but I like the idea of Red Dawn. Like we're almost there again.
Yep.
I like that movie a lot too. Like all his movies. Like Roadhouse is bad, but it's so bad it's good.
Yep. And
the same with the new one. Is it Jake
Gyllenhaal? Yep.
I can't tell if Conor McGregor is an awesome actor or is just so bad that it's awesome. But he's just so unbelievable that it's good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I just like the. Well, he's chasing everybody, and everybody left, and like he walks up, and there's nobody there, and he's talking to himself.
Yep.
But where the hell is everybody? And I'm like,
yep.
Did this actually happen? Was this supposed to happen, or did he just ad-lib this stuff?
Yeah. Well, we can't diss our fellow Irishmen because you and I have our Irish backgrounds and stuff like that, so we got to stick together.
I have my DNA tested, so I know I am Irish. I'm about 50% Irish, and then like. the Celtic people that came from Germany and France.
Yep.
So like that's what the other part of me is.
Yep.
So I'm mostly all Irish.
Yeah, and I tracked my great-grandfather. He actually left from Cork County and went over and, settled in Massachusetts in the Worcester area. So if you're listening to us from like Boston or Worcester and whatnot, definitely shout out to you.
Yeah, I have no idea where my family's from. Too much drinking and most of them don't live to be that long, and I don't really have a whole lot of history. My grandfather's mother drank herself to death. My grandfather drank himself to death. It's like, so I don't really have too much of my history. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I know, like, because it's interesting with the, ancestry, you start looking and you look at like census records of what they were like doing and stuff like that, where they were living. And, I know he was like a trolley car operator and stuff like that. And then, my grandmother, she actually like graduated high school when she was like 16 and became a teacher and stuff like that. So she was one smart cookie and whatnot. But yeah, pretty interesting. Like when you start, we could go probably all into like a whole episode of that, just like looking into our like family history, looking at the weird stuff we found.
So I have some weird stuff. I can't, all these people are dead, so I can't go back and confirm this stuff. But like, I'm originally from outside of Pittsburgh, around Latrobe area. Mm-hmm. And my grandfather lived there. And I don't think he knew Mr. Rogers personally, because that's where he's from. But him and my grandmother used to watch Arnold Palmer's house when they were away.
Yeah.
So my grandfather was friends with Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
Which, if those of you don't know, he was a really good baseball or golf player.
Yep.
But the half iced tea, half lemonade, that's the Arnold Palmer. That's where it's from. Yep. But like that area is all Arnold Palmer. And then my other grandmother on my other side is from Indiana, Pennsylvania, which is only a couple miles away from Latrobe.
Okay.
But she grew up with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, wow.
So she went to high school with him and everything else. Yep. But like I can't. They're all dead, so I can't hear stories now. When I was little, I heard the stories, but it's like I wish I could have went back and asked them again.
Yep, definitely.
And I think there is some ties to George Romero in my family because he
in that area. Yep, he's definitely from that area.
Because if you watch, like when there's news clips, it says like Blairsville and all that. And Blairsville is about halfway between Indiana and Latrobe. It's like that's where most of my family lives.
Yeah, it's Monroeville.
Yep, Monroeville is right down the road from there.
Yep, there's that George Romero connection there, and that the Night of the Living Dead, that original one that was filmed out that area.
That was filmed. I think it was filmed around Indiana mostly, which is where my grandmother was originally from. And then that's another thing too is when I did get my DNA checked. Weird story is I put it on this. I forget which I got 23andMe or whatever, but I took my DNA and I added it to another website to match up with my real grandma.
Yeah.
But when I did that, I got a match in, I think it was the Netherlands.
Oh, wow.
Some really old guy.
Yep.
And he didn't speak English. But we matched up. We're not really close, but like second cousins or something. And he was like 80-something. Mm-hmm. So with Google Translate, I went back and forth with him because he was born like 46.
Yep.
And he's related to me.
Oh, wow.
And if you look at the DNA, since we don't have a direct thing, their estimations like he is either a brother to my mom.
Oh, wow.
Or a cousin to my mom.
Oh, wow.
So we don't know which. I've kind of have it. All these people are dead, so I can't ask. So it's either my grandfather in World War II met someone from, I think it was the Netherlands.
Yep.
She got pregnant and she left.
Yep.
I don't know for sure if it was him, but his brother was also there. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a gray area. We're related, but not enough that we could tell which one it is.
Yep.
But yeah, I went back and forth with him. Honestly, I haven't heard from him in a couple of years. He might have died because this was before COVID. Yep. But it was pretty cool that like I found like potentially a long lost.
Yeah, relative.
And I'm like translating back and forth with him stuff. That was pretty weird to have something like that happen.
Yep.
To have I mean, we're talking 80 years ago, some random encounter.
Yep.
Because they didn't have names or anything or whatever it was. The mother the war was over and she met him in a bar or whatever. But yeah, it's weird. I wish I could have found out who it was, but my grandfather wasn't married to my grandmother at that point, and I don't think that my grandfather's brother was married yet at that point either. So they weren't over there cheating on their wives or anything as far as I know. They weren't married yet, but it's still pretty cool that like you have something like that. But I don't think he's alive anymore because it was a few years back. But that was weird to get that. But I got to use Google Translate to translate the story a little bit.
Yeah, I have all these friends in Europe, and they're like posting on Europe, not on Facebook, and like their native language and stuff. And it's always like fun to like translate, and then just start like jumping in their conversation with all these people like talking, but it's like writing in it in English and stuff like that. And they're probably like, "Who the hell is this person?"
Yeah, it's like it's nice that we have Google Translate to do all that stuff. And I see now that they have like the headphones with the translators in. I don't know how good they are yet, but that would be pretty cool to have one of those. Like my neighbors here, that they speak Spanish. I think they're Puerto Rican. I think they're from the Philadelphia area.
Okay.
But the one woman that used to live there, she was loud.
Yep.
I couldn't understand what she was saying speaking Spanish, but she'd sit on the back porch and she would just constantly yell in Spanish. I just like I wish I knew what she was saying.
Yep.
Like she's always yelling at somebody on the phone, but I think I might get one of those sometime.
Yeah, but get back to Mr. Rogers. It's so funny. I don't know if you've ever seen. My wife actually has a Mr. Rogers tattoo on her like shin area, but it has a trolley there too, and it kind of goes back to a story when my daughter was young. She went out with my wife to visit a friend in Pittsburgh, and they went to like the Pittsburgh Children's Museum. And I don't know if you all remember, that little train trolley would come into Mr. Rogers' house and then take them to the land of make-believe. But my daughter, Amelie, one time was like, "Oh, it's Mr. Rogers' like train." So she like ran right up and like grabbed it off the track and ran it back and was like showing, my friend and also my wife. And she's like that. And my wife's like freaking out. "Oh my God, like put it back, put it back." So then like a couple months later, my friend Mary Jo, who was living out there in Pittsburgh, she went back to that museum and said, "Hey, you're never going to believe this, but now they have like that whole like trolley encased in plexiglass, so it still goes back and forth, but they probably put the plexiglass on there because of your daughter Amelie."
I'm sure she wasn't the first one to grab.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was at that museum before because I grew up in that area, back and forth between there and this area.
Yep.
My parents got divorced when I was like 6, and
Yep.
my mom had a sister, or my mom had a sister live in this area, and we kind of went back and forth.
Yep.
And before we settled up here, but yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff down in that area, but I don't really miss the roads and stuff out there. I don't know if you're too much out there, but it's just all it's like there's no highways. It's just all like mountainous 2-lane roads everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to head out more towards like Erie County and stuff like that because I love to go fishing and stuff like that. Want to explore more there. But the one thing, honestly, and this kind of leads into like maybe another episode or something we can talk to you one time. Still a way into it, but I was huge into like fireworks and stuff like that. And there's a place out there, Kellner's Fireworks, like right along almost 80. So I used to be always going out to Western PA, going to their demos, their classes, and then also traveling out to like the Johnstown area and a whole bunch of other places out there and doing like shows, not just like, hey, we're going to light fireworks in someone's backyard. I mean like cities, firework displays like we did, like huge budgets, kind of putting them together, choreographing them to music and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely, that's kind of like honestly most of my experience is in Western PA with having to do with fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in Pennsylvania, but like fireworks out there, it's like I was always told that like Ohio, everything's legal, and they're close enough to Ohio that they could like run and get everything. So everybody always had crazy fireworks out there.
Yep.
But yeah, that's I grew up there on and off, but there's just nothing for a million miles, and then there'll be a town, and then there'll be nothing for a million miles, and then another town.
Yep, especially if you're traveling like through 80, like you come in through New Jersey and you go all across 80 like to Ohio. It's like a whole bunch of nothing a lot of times.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad when you're driving far, but it's like when you're doing it every day, it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Like I want to go to Walmart or I want to go to the grocery store, and it's a half-hour drive because that's the closest one, and it's like we're not super close to Walmart here, but I think it's like 3 miles, and it's not like I'm super pro Walmart, but we're Pennsylvania. It's not like we have a whole lot of choice.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. Like Costco. One thing I love Costco and stuff like that, but for us to truck out to a Costco, believe it or not, it's like 45 minutes away.
Yeah, at least probably. Yeah, I think Harrisburg's the closest one. I've never even really been to a Costco. I've been Sam's Club. Because I go there for work a lot. I fill the vending machines at work. But I don't think I've ever been to a Costco. At least I don't remember. I've never had a membership anyway.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy Costco. I think it's super cool.
I think that I would like that better than Sam's Club, because Sam's Club has gotten pretty crappy lately. But
Yep.
It's also better company overall because
No, 100%, 100%.
Better.
Yeah, not to get too political, but I'm sure you've been reading a lot of the positive stuff. You know, Costco's coming about in the news, especially with our political environment these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Walmart, and I know people that are anti-Walmart, and I understand all that, but it's like, where am I supposed to go?
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
if my choices are Walmart or Amazon. It's like, well, at least if I get it at Walmart, I'll get it today.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
At that point,
Yep.
you don't really have a whole lot of choice. It's not like we're not really near a big city. I think Harrisburg is sort of a big city, and that's still probably an hour. Really,
Yep. Southwest.
yeah,
Yep.
it's probably at least an hour to get to anything worth driving to. Really,
Yep. Yep.
But in Williamsport really doesn't have a whole lot anymore that we don't have around here.
Yep.
I guess they still have a Red Lobster.
Yep.
That was the only thing we would go up there for. Even though I tried to go there like a year or two ago, and their prices went up so much. I'm like, yeah, this is no longer like a mid-level restaurant. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's cheaper to go to Maine to get a lobster than it would be to get a Red Lobster at this moment. But
Yep. Yep.
we got like horribly sidetracked from our name discussion.
No, I know, but I anticipate that as we go along. But you know, again, we just don't want to whip through our list and play. Okay, see ya, bye.
Yeah, we definitely did because we are at like. Well, the way I have this set up on Beats because I'm using GarageBand to record, but we're like 1,200 something measures in, so that's pretty far.
Okay.
We got a decent amount there, so
Good.
we definitely are not going to be too short today.
Yep.
All right, so what did I go through any of my names that I missed? We bought planners but never opened them. Show.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely have done
Yep.
that. Executive dysfunction junction.
Yep.
The sorry, what was the question cast? Which I think I might have said that one before.
Yep.
We'll just ask for more.
Do you think we should put something out there? Be like, hey, if anyone has any ideas or suggestions for us, can they like reach out to us anyway and like say, hey, what name they think is good?
We have to have something to call ourselves before they can reach out to us.
That's true. That's true. Yep.
That's why I'm using AI. The problem with the AI is we might find this awesome name, and then I'm gonna Google to see if it's trademark, and it's trademark.
Yep.
I did get us about 10 more here.
Okay.
So we have the Wait, Which Dad Am I Show? Dadarall Moments.
That's a good one. I like that.
The We Found Our Keys in the Fridge podcast. I don't know how that one. Someone's already got to have that one.
Yeah.
Two Dads and Their Endless Browser Tabs.
Mm-hmm.
The Rabbit Hole Research Hour-ish. Dad Brain Task Failed Successfully. The We're Late But We Brought Snacks Show.
Okay.
Attention Deficit Dad Venture.
Okay.
The Garage is Full of Our New Hobbies cast.
That's interesting.
I don't have a garage.
Me neither.
I
but
could definitely say basement.
Yeah, or attic for me.
Yeah, we just don't have an attic here. Otherwise, that's where it probably would be.
Yep.
The two dads and a calendar they forgot to check. The Sorry I Was in the ADHD Zone show. Dad HD, the unedited episodes.
Yep.
The We Should Write This Down podcast.
Okay.
The Focus, never heard of her podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's all of those, but I have hit my limit on my free plan until 6 p.m. So that's all the ones I can get for free until 6 p.m.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's any that we were like focused on.
Yeah, of course, because that's what we were saying. Like, let's do something ADD, HD, and then we go off all into this whole spiel on different interesting things.
Yes. I don't even remember what my favorite ones were. There's been so many of them.
Yeah. That whole, like, getting distracted by sparkly, shiny things sounds interesting if we can, like, curve it that way or come up with something, a derivative of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to go back and see what it actually was. I just remember the word shiny, but I don't remember the rest of it. Oh, jeez, where are we at?
'Cause I don't know. That's what I was saying. Like, I go to anything, see it, I'm like, oh, look at this. This is so cool. Or, oh, my God, I always wanted one of these.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I always do. Is like I always have something new. Like this week is podcasts.
Yeah.
And last week was I don't remember what last week was. Well, last week was okay. So I was going to do roller derby last week in Pottsville.
Yep.
I Love You to Death.
Yep.
Doubleheader, which I've done every year since they've started. I announce for those of you who don't know, I'm the roller derby announcer.
Yep.
His wife was there.
Yep.
She didn't end up going, didn't she?
Correct.
She was there as a ref. My wife was going to be there as a Well, as a helper for me, but also as if you don't know roller derby, the people that the officials that don't skate, the non-skating officials, NSOs are called.
Yep.
She was going to do one of those jobs. It snowed really bad. It was really icy, and about half or more decided not to go, and I decided not to go.
Yep.
So I tried to set up a live stream for the people that were staying home.
Yep.
And I was supposed to get called in. At least that's what I thought, was going to get called in live so I could help announce.
Yep.
But no one ever called me. So I did like a 2-hour live show where I think I peaked at 8 listeners or viewers because it was on YouTube.
Hey, yeah.
And I didn't have anything to talk about because they never called me.
Yep.
Going back and looking at the messages, I don't know that we ever 100% decided on that, but like at the time I was like, they're going to call me when it starts.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there waiting for it, and no one called.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so what do I talk about? So then I just ramble on. It got to be where I was listening to one person who I was talking back and forth with.
Yeah, like having a conversation.
And they left.
Yep.
And then I did like about half hour where no one was watching. It was just me talking.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anything to talk about, so it was me talking about having nothing to talk about. And then at the end of the day, I stopped it. No one called me, and then I left it up for a day or two, and I'm like, I'm just gonna delete it because there's nothing of substance there.
Yeah.
I had a couple of minor discussions with one person, which I'm not even 100% sure who it is. I think I know who it is. So there's this person that So the thing you have to know about me is if you're something odd I mean as a rural Pennsylvania person, if you are not a white, middle-aged, whatever, if you're willing to answer my questions about what you are in nationality, if you're gay, I'm gonna ask you questions if you're okay. Like the most exciting thing I worked with a guy who came from Nepal.
Oh wow.
I spent weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks talking to him. He got married. He recorded his wedding and stuff on YouTube. So I got a million questions.
Yeah.
And it's not in a bad way. I just want to know.
Yeah.
And there was this roller derby. I think it was last year, and we have a trans person that was there. So I'm like, I got questions.
Yep.
And she answered questions, whatever.
Yep.
But there was another person. I'm not sure if they were trans. Mm-hmm. It appeared to be a man.
Yep.
Wearing a skirt.
Yep.
And I think the Facebook name was a man name.
Okay.
And when I was talking to them on YouTube, it was a different name, but I think it was the same person because the references.
Yeah.
So I don't know the actual name of the person because it's multiple different places.
Yep.
Also, the times I've seen them, it appeared they were dressing as a woman.
Okay.
But they never had a discussion on any sort of pronoun. So I'm like, I have this gray area androgynous person, which I have not. I don't know one way or the other who it is, but they're my biggest fan. Every time I do something, but I'm like, I don't know. I think I know who it is, but I'm just like, I see them. I definitely know the person that I think that it is, but I don't know that it's necessarily that person.
Yeah. So if you're that person listening, definitely reach out.
Running into them, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. So I don't take my online discussions to live discussions. But that night that I talked to my trans friend, I don't know. Like it was what appeared to be a man in a dress.
Yep.
In roller derby, so we have Lone Bone.
Yep.
Roller derby. He's an older guy. He's probably in his 50s, maybe 60s. White hair, beard. I think he's a farmer.
Okay.
When he goes to roller derby, he wears tights and a skirt.
Yeah, and he's a referee. Yeah.
And he's, as far as I know, there's no trans, there's no nothing involved.
Yep.
He just wears a skirt because he's, from what I understand, is easier skated.
Yep.
So that's why I'm questioning whether this is a man,
a
woman, or because the skirt in roller derby, but that's not necessarily,
Yep.
So I don't want to go one way or the other with it, but I'm like, is this the one that I've been talking to, or is it not?
Yeah.
But it's mainly because it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, your Facebook picture is not you. It's like your dog or something.
Yeah.
Or it's like you're dressed up, or I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the problem with roller derby in general. Is like I have all my Facebook friends.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's their real names.
Yeah.
And they think that I know. Everybody knows me because I'm the voice. I'm loud. I'm big.
Yep.
Everybody sees me. Everybody I talk about has special names and numbers. They're wearing helmets. They're wearing mouthpieces, and half of them are wearing makeup. So I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, they got the helmets, the knee pads, the elbow pads, and their jerseys on.
I don't really get close to them really, for the most part, unless you come talk to me. I don't know you, but if like they'll friend me on Facebook, I'm like, Okay, I've never heard of this person before. Let me look at the friends list. Okay, there's 47 people here that I'm friends with. Oh, they're all, okay, it's a roller derby person. So I'll just add you.
Yeah.
And then I usually end up with a problem where I either know you as a roller derby person and I have no idea who your real person is.
Yeah.
And I have no idea who I'm looking at on Facebook. Or occasionally it happens where Facebook decides you're my best friend and I see all your posts.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember your roller derby name.
Yeah.
I had that problem happen last year. One time I had, it was at somewhere here, and some of the Scream Queens came up.
Yep.
And there was like 6 or 8 of them. I went through all of them and said the roller derby. As I get to the last one, I'm like, I know her real name.
Yep.
I know what her real name is because I see her every day on Facebook.
Yep.
But fuck if I can remember her. So I felt bad because I'm like, I went through and, but she's a blocker, so I don't normally block her names too much.
Yep.
So it was like, once she reminds me, I'm like, okay, I remember. But it's like after intros, she's not a name that I say a lot.
Yep.
Jammers, I say their names 100 times.
Yeah, because for those that don't know, roller derby, they were one of the most active people, scoring the points and whatnot.
Well, when you're announcing roller derby, especially like I do it, because I do it by myself most of the time, I'm calling play-by-play and color. So a lot of times the only play-by-play stuff that I'm calling is the jammers.
Yep.
And occasionally if a blocker does something, but the quiet blockers, like she's very quiet as far as I can tell. I don't ever say her name because she's not in a penalty box every 10 minutes. She's not doing that.
Yep.
So, and then I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, what's her name? And then she says what it is, and I'm like, I felt bad, so I apologized to her afterwards and stuff.
Yep.
But that's the problem that I have with these roller derby people is like, I know you as some fancy name, and
your derby alter ego.
And those of you who don't know, roller derby, like, they're people that dress in ways at roller derby that they might not even dress that way in the bedroom with their husbands. But in the roller derby context, they will wear it in public.
Yep.
And
it's an alter ego, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a drastic thing. So you're wearing stuff that you wouldn't wear in your everyday. You're wearing makeup. You have a funny name.
Yep.
And you have a helmet. And you have a mouthpiece. It's like, oh, I don't know who you are.
Yep.
So that's why I run into a lot with that. But I don't even remember what I was talking about anymore. I completely sidetracked myself.
Yeah, we got into roller derby somehow. But yeah, I think we were kind of
talking
about
what I was doing last week. I did the live stream, and then like the person that was talking to me in the live stream.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure who that person is.
Yep.
The person I talk to, I have conversations with. I think I know who they are in real life, but I'm not sure. So they will listen to this if I post this on my roller page, and if it's you, say, hey, this is me from Facebook and YouTube. So then I know. I'm pretty sure I know who it is, but I don't want to assume.
Yep, exactly. So
And
definitely reach out and let's solve the mystery for us.
Yeah. And I have questions. Like I will talk to you about. Okay, you're wearing a skirt. So what are you? Are you this thing? Are you this thing? Are you your own thing? I want to know. I want to hear the story.
Yep.
If you're a gay guy, I'm going to ask you 100 questions. First one is, am I a bear? And it's always the answer is yes. I have questions for everybody that does things. I guess that's one of my ADHD things.
Well, that's for me too, but it's like, it all comes from curiosity. Like I want to know more. Like, hey, grew up in this totally different area, totally different environment. Like I want to know more. Like it's just like a natural thing inside us, and I think that's probably one thing we definitely share, like curiosity and thirst for knowledge, thirst for understanding too, of other people, because that's the thing. You kind of talked about too, your friend Nepal. It's so interesting to talk to people who didn't grow up here in the U.S. or people who didn't grow up here in Pennsylvania or different Central PA, and getting an idea of who they are and how things were, because all the time again, you hear stuff in the media or news, or hey, over in Europe it's like this, or in Asia it's like this, or in China it's like this. But you actually sit down and talk to somebody from those things, and you learn the truth, or at least their truth. It's way different, from you hear, maybe on the internet or and stuff like that.
And if they can tell you're not fishing to be mean or something, if you're just curious, almost everybody will answer. I mean, I don't get. Like my transgender friend, I had questions. When did you know? But I'm not asking about the mechanics of it. I'm not getting embarrassing about it. But as long as you're keeping it respectful, everybody's always happy at it. If you're curious, my friend from Nepal, as a white nobody person from Central Pennsylvania that's never. I thought he was Indian. Yep. No, I'm not Indian. I'm from Nepal. I'm like, I've heard of Nepal. I kind of know where Nepal's at. So one of the first steps is like, okay, Nepal is like right next to India.
Yep.
So I'm like, are you like a Sherpa? He's like, no, not all of Nepal is Mount Everest.
Yep.
He's like, I'm from here, and then he's like, they teach English. English is taught there. Yeah. It's like, so then I got to learn the history, and like their weddings and stuff are so much cooler than like our standard Christian weddings.
Yep.
Like ours are very plain. It might be some color. Theirs, everything is brightly colored. They change outfits 10 times.
Yep.
And there's like, but it's nice to see stuff like that. Like I'm not gonna go have another wedding like that, but it's pretty cool that something like that exists, and especially that someone like that. Am I ever going to meet another person from Nepal? It's not a very big country, so like the fact that I ran into one and I could talk to him every day was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the day I was talking to a friend at work and stuff like that, and I don't even know how we got on the topic, but it was kind of like religion, and he's like, I'm a Zoroastrian. And I was just like, oh my God, I've only read about that like in history books and like learned about that like in, history in like school and stuff like that. So I asked him a bunch of questions. It's just like amazing. Like, sometimes you hear stuff you only read about and you actually get to talk to someone about it. It's like amazing. Like, there's like a joy, like thirst for that hunger, knowledge,
Yeah, it's like, that's what I don't understand. Like everybody, the people that just want everybody to be the same. And
yeah,
I'm like,
it's boring.
Would you buy a pack of crayons that only had one color?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I want all the different colors. I don't have to live like them, but they're not hurting me to live that way. So why can't I learn about it? It's more interesting.
Which, by the way, did you hear that? I don't know if you all know, but the Crayola crayons, they're produced kind of like close to us in Easton, PA. So they're actually bringing back 8 retired colors this year. I saw that.
I did see something about that, and I honestly read about like 4 lines, and then I kind of got bored. At the end of the day, it's a different shade of blue. It's a different shade of like whatever. I know people get super into that, but like I haven't really been into crayons so long that I really thought that's pretty cool. Like more colors, the better.
Yep.
With that kind of stuff, but I am more into. I kind of graduated colored pencils in middle school, high school, and I like have nice colored pencils. And I started painting again a couple years ago. I haven't touched a crayon in 40 years probably.
Yep. No, but it's just cool. Another interesting thing about PA, probably people don't know. That's one thing I think we might get into at one point. Talking about unique things about PA. Maybe you won't see them anywhere else, or very limited, or like cool spots to explore and check out. Definitely because that's one thing we like. Exploring new places. For me, visiting like an abandoned place, or like an old like historical building, or even like a museum. I love doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, we could just do a whole episode on the gobs/whoopie pie and find out where the line is.
Yep.
Yeah, so if it's called a whoopie pie, and at least where we're at here, and then Western Pennsylvania is called a gob.
Yep.
And I don't know where the line is. I think there's also pop and soda.
I was just about to say that.
That's the same thing. But like Sheets, which is from Altoona, Western Pennsylvania.
Yep.
If you can buy what we call whoopie pies at Sheets around here, and it says gob on it.
Yep.
And people don't even realize it. Like that's what they call them out there.
Yep.
I remember the first time I was down here for something. I think it was at Hershey or something. They had like a whoopie pie stand. I'm like, what the fuck's a whoopie pie? I never heard of that before. What? And I'm like, oh, that's just gob.
Yep.
But like that, we're not that far. Like we're 3 hours away from Western Pennsylvania, but it's like some major differences in language. I think it's more like the mountains kind of divide the state. Altoona's kind of like sort of that midline, I think.
Yeah, it's just kind of like where I grew up in Jersey, like that whole Taylor ham pork roll. Like, where's the actual line and stuff? But that would be interesting to try and like the actual line, going like do a road trip podcast, see if we could actually find like the spot where it changes over with the gobs and the whoopie pies.
Yeah, well, there's a line too where it says Snyder's chips. Okay. There's Snyder's of Hanover and Snyder's of Berlin.
Yep.
They are vastly different.
Yep.
On their flavors and the way that things are. I don't know where that line is. My mom is from Western Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So if I go out there, she wants Snyder's of Berlin chips.
Yep.
But we can buy Snyder's chips here, but it's made somewhere different, and the packaging is different, but it's the same company.
Yeah, I actually have a friend that works at Snyder's and stuff like that.
I have to do a tour to figure it out, because there's like a couple of kinds of chips that you can't get here.
Yep.
That you can get out there, and there's a couple kinds that you can get here that you can't get out there that are just like their barbecue chips are just 100% different than the Snyder barbecue chips around here. Yeah,
a guy I met at like horror conventions and stuff like that. He actually works at like Snyder's of Hanover, and I believe Snyder's of Hanover, it's kind of like in that area around by Gettysburg and stuff like that.
I'm not sure where Snyder Berlin is, but like out in Western Pennsylvania, that's what you get out there.
Yep.
Because their barbecue chips, their logo's blue, but the barbecue chips, like it's like a brick. Like,
yeah.
It's brick on the bag. I'm not sure why it's brick. I never paid that close attention, but that's how I knew it was Snyder's of Berlin. And then the one over here is like white and tan, so like it.
Yeah.
And it tastes completely different. But my mom really likes that from out there, so if I go out there, I pick her some up. That's like there's a weird Pennsylvania's. They say it's the coasts on the edges and Alabama in the middle, and that's about right. And we're right in the middle of Alabama.
Yeah, or Pennsyltucky, some people call it.
Yeah, that's we got some weird people. That's my biggest thing is like the people around here that are like so stuck in their ways. Like, they have no outside perspective at all because there's nobody here besides just boring white people for the most part.
Yep.
And they get scared of everything.
Yep.
That's the biggest. I think that's the biggest problem with our area. I think that because once you sit down to them and you talk to people, it's like you're not really that bad, but I'm like you just have no idea of how anything works outside of generic white people.
Yep. Like I celebrate the weirdness of and everybody and everything and stuff like that, and I think that's one thing we'll be definitely touching on as well in future episodes, like touching on like the weirdness, the uniqueness. You know, the things that make people special, you know, out there, interesting, you know, makes you the things that make you want to talk to people, you know, and get to know them.
Yeah, I mean, happy to talk to somebody different, and even if it's something like I met a person from Nepal and I learned a lot from him. If another person from Nepal comes up, I'm still going to ask him probably most of the same questions again, just to see what a different person.
Yep.
Because I can ask two different people from Sunbury, and I'm going to get two different things.
Yep.
So from literally probably I don't think you can get much further from here than is Nepal. That's like probably about as far as you can get, give or take.
Yep. Yeah, I wonder where actually this is just my ADD brain working right now. If you put like, you know, Sunbury, Pennsylvania on the globe and we look like 180 degrees on the other side of the earth, where would we be?
It's like always like people say China. Well, Nepal and China are kind of like the same place. It's probably got to be pretty close.
Yep.
We'll probably figure out. Well, people don't even understand how maps are anyway because they always seem flat. And like, they think that, oh, you know, America's this side. And I'm like, well, Africa's like bigger than everything else put together. But when you see it on a map, it just doesn't scale right.
Yeah.
And when people see that map, they're like, they don't realize. Or the flat Earth people. Don't even get me started on them.
Yep.
They draw they take their flat map and they draw a straight line, and it's like, oh, it's 14 hours. And then someone draws a curved line, and it's like, it's 7 hours. And they're like, how does that make any sense? I'm like, well, because it's a circle, you know, it's not flat. You're going to go.
Yep.
But I wanted to kind of talk to a flat Earth person just to kind of.
Definitely. Like, I actually like looked it up just because of my curiosity how to get to me. I was like, what are these people thinking? Like, what do they believe? Like, how did they even get like this idea? It was kind of interesting in a way and all that, but that to me it just made no sense.
I just like that every time like some like that the dude that like made the rocket ship so he could get high enough to see the Earth's curvature.
Yep.
And he kept proving the Earth was round, and then like his last trip he ended up blowing himself up or something. But I'm like, they keep proving themselves wrong, but they still won't give up.
Yep.
They're like, if I fire this laser in this distance and blah blah blah, and like, oh okay, it's saying that the Earth's curved. Well, we must just not have went far enough, and it's like.
Yep.
There's no change in their minds, no matter. Like, we literally have pictures, and well, I don't believe NASA. I'm like, why not?
Yep.
I mean, why are all the other planets round that we can see in the sky?
Yep.
Except for ours.
And that's what people talk about today: confirmation bias. Like, if you're presented with facts or you know, a thought that's against what you believe, you're going to totally like block it out. Well, not everybody, but people who definitely have confirmation bias, they're going to block it out. They're not going to listen. They're going to deflect it. And whatnot.
Yeah, it's really. I think that's the biggest problem with the way things are today is that nobody will
challenge their own thoughts.
Yeah, and they're like, "Well, I can prove that the Earth is not round or not flat in 100 different ways."
Yep.
And none of those ways will work for you. I'm like, oh, all right, well, then there's no use talking to you about it.
Yep.
I had that problem years ago when I was dealing with the local politics. There was a guy. He was a Christian, but he was a creationist Christian. He was a little weird, and then he did this thing where one of his friend's kids, they found cancer. So he prayed over her, and he laid hands on her, if you know what that is. And the next day she went back for a second, and it was gone.
Opinion.
And he's like, I cured her cancer with my hands. I'm like, could it just been there was an issue in the first X-ray or MRI?
Yep.
And he's like, probably. I'm like, is it more likely that you fixed her with your prayer? Or that they just made a mistake on the MRI. Considering that you're been divorced twice, you're overweight, you're an alcoholic because we're in a bar, and you've never been to church, but your prayer cured her cancer, or there was a smudge on that MRI. It's like, well, I guess your way makes more sense than mine.
Yeah. It's funny. I don't want to take up this whole episode since we're just kind of bouncing around on topics, but all those people that you see them lay hands, or they come up front and they're magically cured and stuff. I actually had like an experience like that, like when I was in college in York, Pennsylvania. Again, like I had abandoned religion. I grew up a Baptist, but got interested in Christianity again in college. And I went to this church once, and there was this guy at the front, and then he had all the men come up in front and stuff like that, and then he starts like talking to all these people. And a big like kind of like mega church, and actually all the people walked away, and I was like the only one up there, and he was like talking, and all these people started praying in tongues over me and stuff. And it's weird, like I didn't get healed of anything, but you could feel like the energy coming from the people. Like I'm not saying it's like real or anything, but you could definitely feel some kind of like change in the atmosphere and like energy from people. And again, that's the thing too. Like when you do talk to like some people, interesting people, you can feel like the good energy from them, the positive energy, or just like some people are like mystics and whatnot. Like the energy and the stuff kind of going in between each other. Just like you and I, like there's like an energy. Like when we get together and start talking and stuff like that, we just keep blabbing.
Yeah, well, we have the whole like the religion. I don't want to piss people off on our first episode, but like, the problem is not that there's religious people or whatever. It's just that they've kind of they're ignoring big chunks of it to focus in on other things, and then when you prove them wrong, it's like, well, I don't believe that part of it. Well, it's like, oh, I'm Christian. I'm like, well, what flavor Christian? Because there's like literally 100, and I'm not trying to be a jerk. But which one are you? Because there's different versions of the 10 Commandments. The big ones are all there, but then there's like other ones that are different. But it's like, I hate to say, I was raised in Pennsylvania. I was raised a Christian, so it's like hard for me to not have that in the back of my head. But then I go to church and like the people are horrible. At least the churches that I've been to, and you see on the news the people are horrible. They just hate everybody. That isn't. I'm like, but then you go, like I have a friend who's a pastor outside town here. He's a great guy. He goes to shows and concerts all the time. He had a problem a couple years ago back when something politically happened, and he preached anti-hate at church, and his people at his church wouldn't help him. So he asked me to help him. I'm like, you're the pastor of their church, and they won't help you because you disagreed with their politician on something he did. But it's crazy because I'm not religious either. The only thing I hate worse than like the super religious people are super atheists. They're super annoying. That's like my younger brother died, and he was an atheist, but he was like one of the asshole ones. Like he went to get knee surgery, and like one of my aunts on Facebook says, "I'll say a prayer for you," and he got mad at her. I'm like, just let her say it. Is it something worth getting mad over? No. So that's why I don't like atheist people either. But I think they're too busy preaching non-religion that it's worse than preaching religion. At least the religious people believe something. Like, I believe in nothing. You should believe in nothing.
I'm more like an atheist agnostic person and stuff like that. I go back and forth. Like I can't decide.
I still always in the back of my head is Christian because it's how we were raised. It's in there. I don't know if it's right or wrong. So I called myself an agnostic for a long time. I call myself an agnostic theist. So there's no religion. Because religion is made by man as far as general concern. But theist means something created us. The chemical reaction of the Big Bang. Some alien, ancient alien UFO thing created us. Not my place to question. Just happened. So that's what I call myself. So I just don't want to call myself an atheist because honestly, they piss me off because if you have to give yourself a proper title and tell people to believe nothing because you're right because there's nothing, I'm like, then you're literally talking about nothing and trying me to convince nothing. I'm like, just say nothing then. That to me, that would be the proper thing. Not like, you should be an atheist too because of this, this, and this. I'm like, no, you just want me to hate everything because you hate everything. And like, it doesn't serve anybody any purpose. At least if you're trying to convince me of your religion, at least you have something. I don't really want to hear it. but at least you have something. It's not like the religion's bad. It's just people use religion to do bad things.
Yep.
And we lost half our audience on the first episode.
Yeah, I was about to say, how do you like our hobby podcast?
Yeah.
But we will be mixing it up, different topics and stuff like that. We don't want to have something like a super firm structure where we can't like venture out into like different thoughts and ideas and whatnot.
I think that's like the whole general thing is like, I don't want to like have a name that's like the ADHD podcast because it's like that's our focus is not that, but you do need to know that like we sat down here to get to names and we just got through religion, so it's like it's just kind of all over everywhere.
Yep, exactly.
And like I didn't even know what we were gonna do today. I was kind of like gonna set my stuff up. We didn't have like a firm anything set up. So I'm like, are we gonna record something? We're not gonna record something. If you heard funny noises, it's because my dogs are barking because the mail came. The furnace kicked on at one point, and I never did shut off my air conditioner behind me.
Yep.
So this
you
might
have
not,
this.
I don't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm watching the waveform here. I'm not seeing a lot of noise, but yeah, we might have some noise in here, but I could probably clean that up. But I was like, yeah, we didn't really sit down with a topic list. Like my episode notes are just was it ADHC, which was Hobby Club. That's like the only idea we have on our notes. And then the stuff I asked the AI. We still have an hour and a half till I can ask the AI more questions, but at the rate we're going, we still might be talking. I'm in the same place as far as ideas for names go, but I think that if you listen to this whole episode so far, you kind of see the direction we're going.
Yeah.
Which is everywhere.
Taste of the flavor.
Yeah, it's like how I described ADHD to people that don't understand is like if average person is a gun, a rifle, a pistol, whatever, you aim, you shoot, you fire. So when you have like ADHD, you're a shotgun.
Yep.
And you fire, but it's everywhere.
Yep.
And then if the third thing I said, if you're relatively smart with ADHD, if you're smart and you're normal, you have a machine gun or a sniper rifle. You can go one way 100 times or you can hit it perfectly.
Yep.
If you're ADHD and you're relatively intelligent, you're like a machine gun shotgun. It jumps all over the place with every single shot. It's like you don't know where you're going to go. Or so it's like that's the only way I can explain it to people is like if I can stay online, I'm like the greatest person ever at whatever I'm working on. But I will never stay on that line. I will go some random place.
Yeah. Because I know a bit or two about shotguns because I love like shooting and clay sports and stuff like that. It's kind of like what was making me think there is like for people who do know shotguns, like you got to put like the right choke in. Everything's coming out the barrel, but you got to kind of harness it by putting that right choke to get the right pattern of everything coming out.
You shoot at that clay, you'll hit that clay, but like I don't know, is there 30 BBs? 3 of them will hit the clay. The other ones just go. That's ADHD. It just spreads you 50 different directions. Yep. You might have finished your goal, but it was horribly inefficient.
Yep.
Or you just never hit it at all, and you just went. Like we sat down to come up with names, and we've talked about all kinds of crazy stuff. And I still don't know how long we've been recording for because I have it set on beats instead of time, which I probably should have changed it to time. We are over 2,000, so I think that we are probably at least over an hour.
Oh, wow.
We'll figure it out. I don't know if I'll cut anything because I don't think I've said anything too controversial.
Yep.
Which I have a habit of doing.
Yep.
Which I do that all the time. Is my old podcast got in trouble for one of my rivals told him he's going to cave and die, but in context is like you as a roller derby person could just disappear from roller derby, but they're like, you want him to die? I'm like, I don't even know what his name is in real life. Like he's a cartoon character. Essentially, I don't even know the person as a person. I just know my interactions in this format was not good, and I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah. Like a character in a movie type of thing.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know this person as a person. It's just like it's just I may never see him again or whatever. But I'm like, people that are so just don't always have to have something to complain about. So I don't think we've said anything too controversial today, except for religion and nationality and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's where we started is with names, and we still don't have a name.
Nope, we don't.
We can't have any more suggestions, but we do have to come up with something so we can get suggestions.
Yep.
So
I still like that whole like shiny thing. Like
I was trying to figure out what it was. I was in one of my lists that the AD or the AI came up with. I was trying to find it because I remember the word shiny, but that's the only thing I remember.
Yeah. Do you remember that REM song, like Shiny Happy People? Maybe it could be like Shiny Happy something Dad something. I don't know.
Yeah, this one was really good. I just don't remember what it was. Um, I can pull up my song called Shiny Things, and maybe I have some kind of genius line in there.
Oh, wow.
I probably don't. But we can see there.
Hey, don't talk down about yourself. You gotta think positive, right?
Well, I wrote all these songs and recorded them, and then I don't even remember the words to them anymore.
Yep.
There is this. I mean, you probably can't see on the camera, but these are all my songs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them. Well, there's a couple other things at the bottom here, but like I don't know what most of them are anymore. They're recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a roller derby Christmas song, which I released and put on Spotify. I wrote it, and I think I did some of the instruments, but the singing was a woman.
Okay.
It's kind of like Dolly Parton-ish.
Okay, cool.
I put that on there.
Yeah.
But no one listened to it. So,
yeah.
But that was one I wrote.
Yeah, Dolly's a badass, though.
Yeah, well, that's why I was kind of going for that. Because it was a roller derby song, but it was roller derby around here is just women's. I know.
Yep.
It's men and women play, but there's no men's teams around here, so it's.
And there's different leagues. Like for those that I don't know, like WIFTA is Women's Flat Track Derby Association, and not that I'm that all that knowledgeable about the derby universe. You know, Ryan definitely knows more, but there's other leagues where, you know, there's the men's leagues. You know, I think there's mixed gender leagues, and there's even like some leagues I think I know like out like in the like you know, the Midwest and stuff where they're skating on like bank tracks, like the stuff you used to like see like on the 80s and stuff on the TV.
Yeah, well, my old roller derby announcer Sugar Cookie played on the men's team in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any men's team around here, which that's a problem that we have in roller derby is they keep trying to make it so trans people can't play with women in all sports. But I'm like,
yep.
Roller derby can just be co-ed, so the fact that you're trans or none of that matters because they'll play straight with men.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's in New York they sued the state because they made it so men couldn't play women's sports, even though men could play that sport.
But then that's the whole thing. Why should the government have any say, like, in what people want to do? As long as you're freely associating and coming in and you're enjoying having fun, you know, the government really shouldn't have a say in that.
No, and especially since if you're willing to already play with men.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
In fact, if you're transitioned wherever you started, wherever you end up, shouldn't matter. I'm talking to you, trying to find this song. So many damn songs. I should probably label my stuff.
So I'm going to tell a Dolly story quick while you're looking for that. Like, I heard this. So I kind of love Miley Cyrus, like the newer stuff, you know. Her songs, they always make me smile and stuff like that. But I heard a story like, because Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus are, you know, really good friends. I think, you know, Miley kind of looks up to Dolly almost as like a grandmotherly or motherly figure. But I heard a story that, you know, whenever Miley tries to reach out to Dolly, they actually like write each other faxes because Dolly doesn't have like email. Dolly doesn't have like a computer. So they'll literally like write on, you know, faxes and send it, and they're like fax machines to each other.
Well, we still have a fax machine at work, and I'm like, I don't think anybody's used it in years, but it's like, and like the hacker community, like there's a way that you can send like a 500-page fax to somebody that's nothing but black sheets.
Yep.
And if you leave your fax machine plugged in, there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Yep.
And that's what people do now if they find holes in fax machine networks.
Yep.
But I haven't used a fax machine for at least 20-something years.
Yep. But talking about hackers, also there's that magazine. I don't know if you ever read it, 2600. A big hacker magazine back in the day, and nothing to do with 2600 in terms of Atari. I think it has 2600 is like the hertz of like a dial tone from like a payphone or something like that. Something effect. That's what it comes out with. But always like super interesting articles about people reverse engineering like common everyday things and like looking into, you know, hey, what is this actually doing? You know, the software, the firmware of a device. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, I tried to get into that stuff. At some point in time, I was pretty like decent into computers, and I'm better than probably 99% of people with computer stuff.
Yep.
But I never got super deep into it.
Yep.
But that's kind of stuff's always been pretty interesting to me.
Yep.
I'm looking through all these songs. I have so many.
Yep.
I don't have any titles.
Yep. But speaking about 20,
I think I found
got it?
I think. I believe that this might be it. It's actually a pretty long song. It's a lot of words. Yeah, I think this is it. Like the first lines is, "Where did it go, my organized disaster?" Piles of my life, one project at a time. We might be able to get something out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know what the chorus is, if it even has a chorus. Yeah, it's not an overly great song. It's just a lot of rhyming words. But I'm hoping that I might have something in there we can use.
Yeah.
I don't even think I used the word shiny at all, but it's called Shiny Things is the song.
Okay.
So I was searching for that, and there's the shiny is not written anywhere but the title.
Yeah. Because that could be too, like, shiny things, kind of like, not even just like with hobbies, but that could be like in terms of like topics as well that just like interest us, excite us as well,
Yeah, well, maybe I'll just take this my Shiny Thing song and tag it on the back of this episode, because as you go through this song, it's like it's just it's explaining how that stuff. It's
like how your brain works. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like also some of the other stuff where it's like I'm an announcer. Hundreds of people watch me, but I don't want anybody to look at me.
Nope. There's this. It's so funny. Speaking of that, and there's stories of this, over and over. But I remember seeing a band. I traveled, when I was living here in PA. I actually went out to Parkersburg, West Virginia, to see a music festival, and this band showed up, Zao, Z-A-O, and it was so funny. The drummer, totally amazing drummer, but he would get stage fright, so he actually would always like turn around and like face the wall, because you know how usually the drummer, whenever he's singing, they're always in the back, they're almost like against like a wall or the curtain or whatever, but he would actually like turn around and like play the drums just like facing that curtain, facing that wall. And that's the first time I've ever seen that, like a live performance of that, of a drummer doing that. Kind of reminds me of what you just said, in terms of not wanting people to see while you're announcing.
Yeah, well, that's like the weird thing is like I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times in multiple different, like I've weddings, tons and tons of roller derby. I've given big public speeches. I can't sing in front of people.
Yep.
I can't even sing and record it because I'm scared of my own voice.
Yep.
But I'll go up and talk to people all day.
Yep.
But it's like I also don't want to see a recording of it, or it's weird that like I'll do it. I wouldn't say that I necessarily seek it out, but I sort of do seek it out a little bit. I could definitely seek it out more, but it's just like, I don't really want to be in front of everybody.
Yep.
It's weird too. That's another weird thing that So I was probably possible. I don't know if you know him. It's Alec Abam's husband. He was going by Alec Abam Slammer, but I think now he's just going by Slam. Okay. If you described me in general, tall guy, wears glasses, although not wearing them today, beard.
Yeah.
It's the same description of me and him.
Yep.
And people go up to him and tell him, "Oh, you did a good job announcing." I'm like, I'm not the announcer. I was the NSO at the table. That's happened to him multiple times. But I'm like, I've talked for 6 hours straight, and you think I'm him.
Yep. Yep.
I'm dressed up funny, and he's just dressed up normal. So it's like people hear my voice, but they don't actually look at me, it's a weird thing.
It could get trippy in your brain, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like originally when I started, I wouldn't say that I didn't do anything. I just wore my normal clothes or whatever. But as time goes on, I'm like, how crazy can I dress?
Yep.
And have people not notice?
Yep.
The big one that I'm known for is when Blood Bowl every year. I try to dress up big. One year I dressed up as the Macho Man. I handed out Slim Jims.
I was actually there.
Yeah, that was like the high point where people actually paid attention to me that day. Well, this last one I dressed up as Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Besides like people saying Beetlejuice 3 times at me, like not really that much at all.
Yep.
But I've done like a bunch of crazy stuff. Like one year I dressed up as Aquaman. But I couldn't find. I just got like one of those, compression shirts, long sleeve orange shirt. But I couldn't find pants to fit me. But I found women's like leggings, and they were like mermaid scales. They were the green like his pants were, but they were women's, so they were not meant to fit a man.
Yeah.
So I bought them, and they were too tight in specific places.
Yep.
And that became a distraction for at least a couple of different people.
Yep.
So I try not to wear those too much anymore. They didn't leave much to the imagination. But it's like, I don't know. I used to just dress normal, but I kind of like wear obnoxious shirts or all like I don't know. I like wear headband. I don't even know what the hell I wear anymore. But I was like trying to wear different shirts. And one time I had spiked up a big mohawk and I wore a feather boa and stuff. And it's like, it's always the same no matter how I dress. And I don't get treated any different.
Yep. I love wearing obnoxiously ugly stuff. And, like, I guess what I really got into it was, like, when I was in college, I remember going to, like, a Salvation Army store, a huge Salvation Army in York, Pennsylvania. And I got, like, the ugliest, plattest, checkered pants and stuff like that. And there were, like, bell bombs on the bottom. And, like, I'd wear them. But it wouldn't be, like, just, like, one day I would wear them. And I'd wear them for, like, 5 days in a row. And, like, shirts that didn't even match. It was so funny, like, after I left York. And, I was with my girlfriend at the time. And now she's my wife. Honestly, she made them, like, disappear one time when it was just, like, her and I living, here in the Sunbury area. Because she, like, hated them so much and stuff. But I love wearing, like, obnoxious stuff for, like, Christmas and stuff like that. When they're like, oh, ugly sweater contest. I want to go, like, ugly sweater times 1,000,
Yeah, I always try to do that, but I'm too big to find much of anything.
Yep.
But I used to look for suit jackets. I have a bunch of, like, plaid ones and, like, all odd colored ones.
Yep.
And then I found a website where I'm like, when I DJ, I wanted to wear a suit that was unusual enough that it was noticeable but not obnoxious because I'm being paid to be there. So I got like it's like blue, but it's not like navy blue. It's like blue. So it's not crazy, but it's like a little bit. But yeah, I never could find like that much cool stuff. I'm too tall and I'm too big.
Yep.
But yeah, I always like to try to wear weird stuff. So I usually just make my own stuff. It's nice now because I talk about Walmart again. It's like I can buy shirts at Walmart now.
Yep.
Which you're like, oh, that's stupid. But I'm like, they got 40 different shirts for $8 every holiday. And so I'm like, I can go in there. Like, I got a Golden Girls Pride shirt there like 2 years ago. This is like legendary, and it's picture of Golden Girls with rainbow. I'm like, there was like $5. I'm like, I'm happy to get cool stuff like that. I never could before past few years.
I actually got a T-shirt not too long ago. I have it at my apartment in New Jersey because I used to work out in Jersey. But it's an Ice Cube shirt from like back in like the early '90s. Got it from like Walmart on like clearance for like $3. But you can't beat like some of that stuff. When they find clearance items.
Prince Purple Rain shirt there.
Yep.
At Walmart. I got one. I seen on I don't know. Facebook shows you ads. And I always get T-shirt ads, and it was the Macho Man doing his thing with his hands, but instead of being Macho Man, it was the Macho Man's body, but it's Randy Travis's head. And it's the Macho Man Randy Travis.
Yep.
And that was my favorite shirt that I've ever found. But it's the color of the shirt itself is like turquoise. It's a really obnoxious color that I hate to wear all the time. I like that shirt. It's pretty funny.
Yep.
I got a lot of weird ones. I got this one. I think it was from like $6 shirts, and it's got a tiger, like a snake and something on it. And it says, "Any zoo is a petting zoo if you aren't a little bitch." And I wore that to roller derby one time. It's like Wix Picks, the one photographer, when he was getting started out, he was making fake magazine covers.
Yep.
And that for the announcer cover for roller derby, he put me on there, and that's the shirt that I'm wearing.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty funny. That's in my my wall of fame upstairs hanging up. I printed that one out. But yeah, I always like to get funky shirts like that.
It's so funny when you mention that because it reminds me of two things I just recently saw on Facebook. This lady had like their car door open and she was holding like a possum, and the possum's like tongue is like hanging out its mouth. It's drooling all over, and she's asking her boyfriend, "Can we bring it home? Can we bring it home as a pet?" Or the last time I actually was in like Cherokee, North Carolina, there was like these wild elk, and it was like a bull elk and all like the cow elk. He had like 5, female cow elks with him, and like all these ladies come up and start to try to take like selfies with him. And of course, these are wild animals. It's not like, here's my social media pic and stuff like that. So just remind me with your petting zoo T-shirt there.
Yeah, I guess that's a problem they say out at like Yellowstone. People going up to all these wild animals and trying to get pictures, and they're like, they're gonna eat you. People are stupid. People don't realize that like, not everything is like, oh, I get to order pizza tonight and get to go shopping for like. There's places in the world where like.
Yeah.
In Africa, Ebola started because people were starving, so they started digging up dead bodies and eating bats and stuff. I'm like, that happened the same night that I ordered pizza from Domino's. It's like there's such a drastic And
people have way different.
Oh, that animal's not going to charge at me. Yes, it will.
Exactly. This thing could kill you.
No, well, not me. It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah, that's a lot of thing. Hey, it'll never happen to me type of mentality too. Where people like, oh, well, they say something like, well, isn't that like a little dangerous? Can't you get hurt? Oh, it'll never happen to me. Or I've done it a million times, nothing's ever happened. It's that one time where it's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, and that's. I just don't know why people will do just stupid stuff like that constantly.
Yep.
And like people that do like people that drive drunk like every week like that, and it's like, oh, I won't get a ticket. Oh, I won't get pulled over. And then you see them in 3 years. Oh, I've had 6 DUIs.
Yep.
My wife left me. I'm like, what's because you didn't think you'd ever get pulled over and you wrecked your life 10 times over.
Yep.
Like I knew a guy years ago that did that. Like he got a DUI on a Friday night.
Yep.
Still had his driver's license over the weekend.
Yep.
Got another DUI on Sunday night.
Yep.
And then he's like completely fucked himself up. And he's like, well, I didn't think that would happen to me. I'm like, did you see all the ads? Like, if you get a DUI, it's 10 grand. Like,
yeah.
It's like, just don't. Never
Just
happened
don't
to me.
do it. Yeah, it's funny because I'm part of the volunteer fire department here in the city that we live in. But you see all these people who get like, get in an accident and obviously they're drunk, and like the crazy stories they come up with. Like I remember outside, kind of almost a little past your house here, like some guy, he was sitting there, as we pull up with a truck. He's like, oh my God, we got in an accident. And then my friend ran off in the woods, and I can't believe he ran off like that. He was the one driving, I can't believe he left me here like this and stuff like that. And of course, this guy's trying to tell us the story was the one who was driving and stuff like that. And they kind of like, make this like whole story up and stuff like that. Or, people who've like ran from their vehicles after they've had like an accident, because they're drunk. But then you look inside, like their Burger King meal is like sitting on their thing, like their debit cards are like like strewn all over their like seat and stuff like that. It's like, hello.
That's like I have not heard. I've not confirmed this story with my dad and my brother's dead, but the way it was explained to me is my dad owned a bar in the middle of nowhere, and my brother worked there, and my brother was drinking. My dad was home for the night. He was in bed.
Yep.
My brother was drinking, and I think he ran into a tree.
Yep.
And he abandoned the car. He ran into the woods.
Yep.
But this was like 2 a.m, and it was less than a mile from my dad's bar, which was about a mile or so from his house.
Yep.
So it was all in the same vicinity. So they called my dad, hey, your son's car was found. It was in an accident. We can't find him.
Yep.
So my dad wakes up in the middle of the night, drives about a mile to where my brother's car was.
Yep.
And then he gets a DUI because he drove to get his son, who was missing.
Yep.
I mean, by rights, he drank before he went to bed, and it was a DUI. But I'm like, if you're ever going to get a pass, it's because your son has been in an accident in the middle of the night. No, got the DUI.
Yep.
My brother hid in the woods all night, came out the next morning, didn't get a DUI because they couldn't prove that he was the one that was drinking.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that's 100% truth, but that's the way my grandmother explained it to me, who's also dead, so I can't. But I was like, give him a pass. If you're ever going to give him a pass, that's when you give him a pass. I understand don't drunk drive. But less than 2 miles in the middle of the night when your son's missing in an accident?
Yep.
So that sometimes are just...
Yeah.
If that happens to him and you're leaving at a bar on Friday night, blaring your music, and you don't get a ticket, that's where it doesn't make sense to me. And you get surprised when it happens to you. I'm like, it happens all the time.
And just for all these people, that are listening to us, like people running and stuff, and hey, I'm going to hide in the woods. Don't want to get too into it, but now with technology these days, there's ways for the police, EMS, whatever, to find you. So just don't drink and drive.
And especially like I've never used an Uber or whatever.
Yep.
I'm not really a drinker anyway.
Yep.
But I'm not really. I'm usually the days if I drink one or something.
Yep.
That would be it. But like, I'll just be the designated driver. Somebody will, or get an Uber or whatever. I mean, it can't be that expensive.
Yep.
I've never used them, but it can't be that bad.
Yep.
Or
exactly.
It's like, I don't know, because I hang out at, like, I go to Spyglass, which they make alcohol. I've never drank anything there, but if I did, I definitely won't want to drive home from there because that place is on a dirt road, off a dirt road, off a dirt road, off a dirt road.
Yep.
So I definitely wouldn't want to drink and drive there.
Yep.
even when I'm sober, I'm like worried I'm gonna hit a deer.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
But like we used to always like even when I first turned 21, we got married pretty young. I think she was 19 or 20, and I was 21 or 22.
Yep.
I wasn't drinking, but I was with my friends who were drinking. But I didn't know if I was going to drink or not, so I just had her drop me off. She wasn't 21 yet, so she couldn't come out with us. And she came and picked us up at Peppermint, if you remember where that was.
Yeah, I know.
And then she drove us home, and she never turned her headlights on.
Okay.
Because she just only went like 6 or 8 blocks, and it's lit the whole way, and she gets pulled over for drinking.
Yep.
I'm like, well, she wasn't drinking. The rest of these people were. She's the designated driver, and you know, they went through all that. But I'm like, she wasn't drinking at all, and she got pulled over for a DUI. Now it didn't happen, but I'm like, someone like that wasn't even drinking gets pulled over, but you'll go drink and drive and every weekend and never get caught.
Yep, it's just crazy.
Certain relatives used to do that all the time. Like they'd have where they put their cigarettes out, their ashtray.
Yep.
Was a open beer can.
Yep.
Or like one of my favorite stories. I used to deliver furniture, and I forget what happened. We had to go pick something up, and our delivery van was there. So we took the guy that was working with his truck to pick something up, and we got somewhere. It was an old truck. It had a carburetor.
Yep.
And we broke down, and he was gonna fix it, and he wanted to pour gas straight into the carburetor, but in a proper way. But like he didn't have anything. Yep. So we look in the back of the truck, we found a beer bottle. So he pours the gas in the beer bottle. So we're sitting less than 600 feet from the state police station with an open bottle of beer pouring it into his engine. Yep. And no one second guessed us.
Yep.
Now it was full of gasoline, but I'm like, I could see the state police barracks from where we were doing it. Like, that never happened. Like, so you never know what's gonna happen. So.
Yep.
I think we lost track of where we were going again.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got on DUIs from somewhere else.
Yep. So shiny things. So
I think we've got the shiny thing, so we need to work on that.
Yep.
And turn that into our name.
Yep.
So I'm gonna Google that name and make sure it's not already taken by something else.
Yep.
And see if we can get any variations in that.
Someone would be all happy. Oh, we thought of our name, and then like, oops, it's been taken.
Yeah. Well, I always come up with cool names for stuff, and if I look and there's nobody else that took it, then I reserve the Facebook page.
Yep.
That's why I have so many Facebook pages.
Yep. I only have one extra like Facebook page, and it's for a New Jersey Devils fan group. Like a section.
There is a Shiny Things podcast.
Okay. So let's keep going. Shiny what? Shiny.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what kind of podcast it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. What did you just say? Before we said that, you were talking about something.
Oh, like you said, you have like multiple Facebook pages.
Okay,
I was like, I only have like one.
So I broadcast the football games for the radio station. I run the video broadcast, and I do the Talk to Santa show in the video broadcast. So I have all the radio stations' Facebook pages, and like. I can block it so I don't get, because you know how many times a day someone sends a message to the radio station?
Yeah.
And I have them blocked so I don't get notifications for them, but every once in a while they'll sneak in. Yeah. That's so annoying. But I think I have 20 or 30 different ones. So the Shiny Things podcast has not put an episode out in a couple of years. And it looks like it's a podcast about like crimes or something. So we can't use that, but we can still keep in the shiny realm of things.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Let's keep going that direction.
See what other shiny podcasts. Because I'm sure there's just a shiny podcast that's probably for Firefly. Because that was their slang word they used in the show a lot.
Okay.
Something shiny podcast. There's a something shiny ADHD podcast. There's an It's Shiny podcast.
Okay.
Although it does not have any followers, it only has one episode.
Okay.
A trailer. The Shiny Online podcast. The Shiny Cats videos podcast. The Shine podcast with someone. Another Shine podcast. Shine podcast. Glossy podcast. The
what can we add to Shiny? What word can we add to Shiny? To make it our own thing.
Where we get the thesaurus out like I used to write songs. I think I still have it installed. It's like called like hippo or something thesaurus. I don't know. I don't know if it's any better, but the hippo is the mascot.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked that one.
Okay.
If I'm going to spell thesaurus right. Thesaurus.
So we can sound all smart and intelligent with the use of our thesaurus.
Yeah. Where the heck is... I want to find the hippo one. I'm going to look up hippo. Hippo thesaurus. Word hippo. That's what it is.
Okay.
That's
yeah, I
what
think I've heard
use.
of that.
I just like that because it has the hippo. See, there's a little pink hippo.
Oh.
So it's more interesting than a regular podcast or a regular thesaurus. So I'm going to look up Shiney and see what it comes up with for us. Well, there's a lot of words, but I don't know if there's anything in here that would necessarily work.
Okay. Why don't you read some off?
So shiny things. So I'm going to look, we'll keep shiny and we'll work on the things.
Yeah.
So things. Come on, let's go. All right, so things. So it's going to start off with like possessions, goods.
Yeah.
Shiny junk. We could do that.
Yeah, all the junk in our head.
Shiny odds and ends.
Definitely odds and ends with us.
Shiny bits and bobs.
That's interesting in a way.
Clobbers. Why is clobber? Dunnage. I don't know what that is.
It's like weight, something like that.
But it's like, why is that for the source for things?
Yeah, I know.
There's some in here that I don't know. I like bits and bobs or odds or ends. It might be something to think about. We have really nothing else very good. Let's go here to the nouns. We have kitten caboodle.
Shiny kitten caboodle. That's interesting.
Paraphernalia.
Paraphernalia.
Apparatus. Yeah, I think if we name our podcast Shiny Apparatus, it's not going to be the crowd we want. Shiny. I think I like the bits and bobs. Let's look up bits and bobs.
Yeah, I like that one.
See if we can have something from there if we can't do that directly. The leftovers, dibs and drabs, bric-a-brac, bits and pieces, offcuts, remnants, mishmash.
Mishmash.
Miscellaneous paraphernalia. Does that mean mixed bag, debris, particles, bits and pieces? Yeah, I don't know. There's not anything good here for that. I was expecting more from the hippo. Supplies, baggage. I don't even know what that word is. Apparentient. I'm gonna skip that one.
Shiny miscellanea. What do you think of that?
Let's see. I think that's a good place to go. Let's look up miscellanea.
Yeah.
If I can spell. I'm pretty sure I did not spell that right at all. That's one of those, like, when I was really little, like, I was helping my stepdad work on something, and I was, like, maybe second grade. I was trying to spell. I was helping him. He was very bad at spelling. We could, for the life of us, could not figure out how to spell my. But as a second grader, you sound the word out.
Yep.
Try to spell my while sounding it out. And, like, it took us forever to. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just my. But I'm like, is it mi? No, that doesn't make. But it's like sometimes words just don't work out. But now I'm having miscellanea.
How do you spell gray? The color gray.
I go back and forth with the A or the E. I do both.
Yeah, because when I grew up, I always learned like the EY and stuff like that. But then like I moved here and people like, no, that's not how you spell it. And I remember one time I had to like do something for work and did the GREY, did it all over, and someone actually went through and was like, no, we got to change it, and like went through and edited the whole document like over and over. GRAY.
Yeah, I did that one time. I used to make the flyers for the local roller derby team, and I forget what the word was. It was a common word that had two spellings.
Yeah.
I made the whole poster, and I had it spelled one way.
Yep.
And they said, no, we want you to spell this way. I'm like, well, both are legit ways to spell it. I wish I could remember the word. And so I redid the whole poster with the way they wanted me to spell it, and then they said, no, it's spelled this way. But I'm like, well, that's the way I had it spelled the first time.
Yep.
Like, both are legitimate, and you made me remake this, and now you want the original one again.
Yep.
I just wish I remember. It was like believe, or it was some simple word that like you could swap a couple letters around.
Yep, couple vowels.
So I finally spelled miscellaneous.
Okay.
So we got mixed, varied, assorted, diverse, diversified, heterogeneous, various, jumbled, multifarious,
Multifarious or whatever, something like that.
Faragiosus, I don't know what that word is. Kitchen sink, conglomerate, disordered.
The shiny conglomerate. Or the shiny kitchen sink conglomerate.
Our name's going to be like 50 letters long. Let's see what we got for adjectives. Nothing good there. Uncategorized. Yeah, no, that's good. So for nouns, we have baggage, equipage. I didn't know that was ordered. Mm-hmm. Material, instruments, hardware, accoutrements.
Shiny accoutrements.
Accompaniments, accessories, contraptions.
We gotta be fancy though. Accoutrements instead
I don't know.
like
Shiny contraptions.
That's cool.
That might work.
Yeah, that's a fancy
close.
word. Contraptions.
Shebang. I don't know why that's in there. Bits and bobs came back. Kit and caboodle. Odds and sods.
Mm-hmm.
Bits and pieces. I don't even know what that word is. And amaranth. I'm not gonna try to say that word. Gubbins. I don't know what that. Regalia. Trappings. Accessories. Clobber. Why is clobber? Yeah, I think that's probably going to take us down another path that we don't need to go down because there's just so many.
Yep.
So we're kind of stuck on the shiny thing, and it sounds like we liked contraptions.
Yep.
Accompaniments.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's going to be simple enough that people can spell it because.
Yeah, like 3 letters at the most,
So maybe we could come up with like, an abbreviation like S blah blah blah, and then that could be the shortened name of our podcast, but our podcast is Shiny Contraptions or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like Stone Temple Pilots and the STP logo. But yeah, if we could go down that way, like 4 hours later, we
finally came up with something.
Yeah. Well, names are the hardest part. I mean, sometimes they come really easy, sometimes they're really hard. Nope. I feel bad for writers because like I can't come up with like a name, and they come up with names and stories and
backstories.
Yeah. Every time I try to write a story, it's like it's just me. I'm the main character.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't write any perspective beyond mine, and if I do, it's like doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That's the thing. I've always wanted to write stories, and I think, I can't write stories. Or even like in any of my hobbies, you first think, I'd love to try it, and then you're like, I can't do it. It's too hard. Out there, just go out there and do it. And just make it happen. Who cares if your story's not the greatest? Who cares if no one wants to read it? If you want to write, you want to do whatever, just go out there, make it happen. It's probably a lot easier than you think it is.
Yeah, and worst case is at least you tried.
Yep.
If you're horrible at it, it's at least you can't do it instead of wondering if you can do it.
Yeah, but even if it amuses you and you only could do it,
No, it's like there. I wrote like 30-something songs, and the only person that's heard most of them is me.
Yep, but it amuses you. It makes you happy.
I was like super into them for a while. Like there was a point like in November where like I was exclusively just listening to my own music.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe we could do something along that. And it's like an encouraging name.
Yeah, positive. We're all about the positive energy.
Shiny, positive. Or what's another word for positive? Shiny. We seem to like the shiny.
Yeah.
Shiny. The shiny things was a good one, but it's taken. So
shiny,
that's the worst part. At this day and age, it's hard to come up with anything that's not taken.
Yep.
So we have. So how would we describe We've talked about 300 things today. How would we describe that in one word?
Eclectic would be one.
Shiny. Eclectic, so something. I think we need to get a $1 word, not a $2 word, or we need to have an abbreviation where we can put that in there.
Yeah.
So, people are watching us like just two dudes sitting in the basement. Like we were talking about all this interesting stuff, and now we're just mumbling back and forth with a couple of words.
Yep, but I don't know. where are we gonna go if we don't have a name, right?
Yeah, we kind of have to have a name first. So we're gonna have a marathon 4-hour episode about our name.
Yep.
And 5 people will listen to it.
Yep.
And maybe it'll be good. Or we'll become famous one day, and we'll have 3,000 episodes, and everybody goes back to that first episode and be like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
Yeah, and it'll be like the ultra rare, like, treasure hunt to find this episode.
Yeah, well, it's like every time, I used to do it all the time. I would, if I wanted to listen to a podcast, I'd have to go back to the first episode.
Yep.
And usually the first chunk of episodes suck, quality-wise, or they're, like, not organized, and the audio's horrible. And then you don't want to continue listening, but eventually they figure it out.
Yeah, you get your own thing, and you kind of like make it better, a little bit better every time.
Yeah, I think that, like, I'm not sure. I'm sure we don't sound like Joe Rogan podcast quality or nothing, but I think that from the way a lot of podcasts start out sound wise, I think we're a step above that because I have my sound engineering experience.
Yep.
But it's definitely not $1 million podcast range.
No, but like we were talking about, you just gotta get out there and make it happen. Not like. Don't be like, oh, I need to get this money to get all this equipment, or I need to get all this together to even start. Go out there, start small, and build your way up, right?
Yeah, that's what my friend always said when he had start his YouTube channel. He's like, we were trying to find stuff to review. He's like, just review stuff you already have.
Yep.
So just take like the shoes you already wear and review those shoes.
And you can make it like, oh my God, look at these new shoes I got, and you've had them like 3 years.
Yeah, right. You can be like, I put 3 years of wear and tear on these shoes, and this is what I've learned. And that's like, and that was a smart way to start, but then when you're doing something like that, you want new things to review. Like I'm trying to find a mixer that's not as big. And I guess I don't really need to get a new computer because I have 10 computers, but it's like, it'd be nice not to have a big mixer. It'd be nice to have this fancy, spring-arm microphones and stuff.
Yep.
But we got by with what we have here.
Yep.
But we've sidetracked from the name discussion one more time.
Yep.
See, if we were really lazy, we could just go for the No Drama Llamas podcast, but it has nothing to do with the actual podcast.
But it, like, I just got like the whole like MacGyver vibe, like when you were saying that, like starting out, like.
So, I've never watched the remake of MacGyver,
Nope,
which apparently it's been on for a while.
Yep.
And MacGyver didn't hold up the best.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it was I was still pretty good back in the day.
That's one thing I loved the Dukes of Hazzard when I was a kid. I mean, absolutely loved them. And then, like, when I was in college, or around that age, some, like, country music channel was, like, going to put them back on. I was like, oh, my God, this is the best thing ever. Yeah. I can't wait till these come back on. And I started watching. I was like, you know what? This is one of the dumbest shows ever.
Yeah, and it's like borderline racist with a lot of this stuff. But, like, timely it wasn't. It's like, well, when I was in high school, I had funny hair and I dressed funny, like, for Halloween one year, I wore a noose, but I was supposed to be a zombie. Like, I had my face painted up, and I'm like, I can never run for president. Because as soon as that picture comes out, no black people are going to ever vote for me. Even though, in context, I was a zombie. I think it was supposed to be like a Wild West, like, zombie. I don't remember. But they took that picture and put it in the yearbook. Yep. And, like, so I can never be president. Like, it's not blackface, but I'm definitely... I'm definitely not allowed to go in public politics that way. Yep. Also, I was in a band back then where we played heavy metal music. We weren't good. We never played out or anything. Yep. But we, for sure, had a Polaroid camera and had to make all these cool band pictures. Yep. We had nothing behind us but my dopey friend like Leonard Skinner, so we had a Confederate flag. So we got this Confederate flag hanging behind us. Yeah. Like, it wasn't contextually anything. It was either that or, like, yep. I think I had a Jenny McCarthy poster. I was like, that's like, and like even now, that probably would hold up bad too, since she's so anti-vax and weird now. Yep. But it's like, you don't think about that stuff when you're 17. Yep. Yeah, it's so bizarre. Like, wow, Jenny McCarthy's married to one of the new kids on the block. Like, who would ever thought of that? Yeah. And then, like, I'm like, everybody knew Jenny McCarthy was. Like, I had 3 Jenny McCarthy posters. You could buy Jenny McCarthy posters at Walmart, and my kids were like, who's Jenny McCarthy? I'm like, yep. Like, she was on 80 shows, and but she's just kind of, now she's just known for being a little crazy. Yeah, or being on The Masked Singer. Yeah, was that I like the idea of The Masked Singer. I just don't have. I kind of just want to see the results. I just don't actually want to watch the show. Yeah, it's on down after season 1. Yeah, I don't really like, and like the American Idol stuff. I never liked watching that, but I liked kind of watching the Reject episode. But I'm like, I don't want to encourage this to go on, so I don't watch the Reject episodes anymore, or anything really. Yeah, it's like we had that question the other night at trivia, like who got kicked out of Eurovision, and we're like,
we know what Eurovision is. It's kind of like the
I said I don't even know what Eurovision is. Like, what's the top Eurovision song of last year? And someone got kicked out. I'm like, what is Eurovision?
And I knew it was kind of like American Idol, but for Europe, and it's like wildly popular over there. But then we're just like, we have no idea who this group was.
I'm completely removed from anything that's popular. One, I'm old.
Yep.
Two, I don't have cable. And three, I never listen to the radio.
Yep.
So it's like I'm completely removed from pop culture unless I happen to run across it on the internet, which at this point, all I watch is Reddit stories.
I used to only listen to the radio, and especially around here, for the express purpose to win radio station contests. That was like a hobby of mine to win radio station contests.
Well, I'm technically employed by them, so I can't win it. So, and both of my kids are, because when I do the football games, I'm the technical director, so I run everything.
Yep.
But I can't run all the cameras myself, so I need to hire cameramen. And they usually hire college or high school kids, and they're horribly unreliable.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'll just bring my kids.
Yep.
You guys pay my kids. I'll make sure my kids are there because their dad's bringing them.
Yep.
So my kids work for the radio station too, here and there. But it's like, I can't win any radio contest because Steph used to win stuff all the time. And I'm just like, well, I can't anymore because you're a immediate family.
Yep. Yep.
But I'm not really, I never win anything anyway.
I get on these lucky streaks. Like I went to this outdoor show like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it was so funny because, I always filled out this stuff for, all the vendors are there. They like, oh, drop your name. You'll pick something and stuff like that. And someone like after I left, we were at work just talking about marketing and how we do like some drawings for stuff. And the lady's like, oh, did you win anything? And I was like, no, the show's not over. No lie. Like a week later, I get an email. Oh, you won a fighting knife from, I forget who it was. I was like, oh my God, I won a contest. I'm so excited. And then just 2 days ago, this guy texts me, you won our drawing. We picked your name. I was like, oh my God, I won again. So what did I win? Oh, you won a blind for your dog and stuff like that. I have a bunch of dogs. The funniest thing is I try to get this blind on them and stuff like that, and it totally looks like I can't think of her name right now, but if you ever watch the movie Midsummer, Florence Pugh at the end with all the flowers around them, totally looks like it's from Midsummer, this blind, and we got the funniest pictures with it. It was great.
Yeah, I the last time I went something like early on in roller derby, we would travel a little bit because it's before I was established as like a multi-team announcer. Yeah. But I would travel with her, and we were somewhere out towards Pittsburgh, and I won a 50-50.
Woohoo!
But there was like 5 people there besides me. I think I won like $40 or something. Yep. But I'm like, there's like 8 people here, and they're all related.
Yep.
But that's like the only time I've won anything. She would go to like some Chinese auction. Like she came home before Christmas, like this huge big platter full of whoopie pies.
Yep.
That she put her name in for. I'm like, I never win any.
Yep.
She won a free cabin stay at some some state campground.
Yep.
But I'm like, we're never gonna be able to go there.
Yep.
It's like far away, and I'm like,
who cares? You won.
This is the time that like we can't get off work to do this. But she wins stuff all the time. I never win anything.
Yep. I just realized we have something in common. I also have won a 50-50 at a roller derby event. It was when, back in the day when we were living in Jersey, my wife used to play on Garden State. They did a 50-50, and I won as well. And I remember I won like $20, and I went and I bought like a T-shirt. There was like a rescue there. They were trying to raise funds for them, and I bought that T-shirt there.
Yeah, I usually if there's a raffle or anything, and I'm going to be the one calling it, I won't buy tickets for it.
Of course.
So I don't usually get a chance to. So that was one of the few times.
Yep.
But I've done a lot of different stuff where I've called out stuff like that. Like I've called bingo for a long time. I started calling bingo when my son was in kindergarten. He's a senior. So I guess 12, 13 years. And my wife has never won, ever. She always plays when I call. She won last time.
Oh, wow.
And it was like a $25 Walmart gift card. So I'm like, hey, great. We can buy like one thing at Giant, all these years.
And that's the thing too, like, cause you're a call-out bingo, and I used to play bingo all the time. There's like a whole culture to bingo or bingo culture that like people would be shocked and stuff like that.
Well, that's like I called bingo for I called bingo a lot for the school districts, but my son's class, not my one that's a senior, the one that's younger, had a bingo for his class of like 27.
Yep.
I'm like, I will call your bingo. They needed fundraisers. I'm like, just do bingo. You get donations. You get me a machine. I'll do everything else.
Yep.
If you do dances, I'll do them for free. So we get to this first bingo. Everything's fine. The first thing I do at every bingo is I make sure all the balls are there. So I get there and I'm like, there's a ball missing.
Yep.
Okay. And then the lady's like, well, I have a ping pong table, so I'll send my husband, and he brings a ping pong ball. The ping pong ball does not fit. So I'm missing a number the whole time. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Because if people find out we're missing a number, they're going to get pissed off.
There's going to be a riot.
Well, so the lady's just like, just call it bingo. I'm like, okay. And so I called it, didn't like it, whatever. I think that I might have thrown that number in randomly, just occasionally.
Yeah, you palmed the ball.
Luckily, it was most of the bingos, like all the tickets were the same.
Yep.
But this was one where every ticket in the pack was different.
Okay.
So it didn't purposely screw over one person with a ball mixing.
Yep.
It was equally
distributed the screwing.
But then we get to like the last. Usually, how it works, at least every bingo I've ever been to, it's probably the same for you. Is like you play 5 games or whatever, and then you have a special game.
Yep.
You play 5 more games, then you have a special game, then you have a break.
Yep.
5 more games, special game.
Yep.
5 more games, last game.
Yep.
And then they always have a Chinese auction or something.
Yep.
Well, this lady's like, I want the Chinese auction in that third set. So after the third special game, but before the last game. I'm like,
yep.
There's a reason why we don't do that, because about 75% of these people don't give a damn about any of this Chinese auction. So you're going to make these people sit here for an hour where nothing happens that they care about.
Yep.
So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Well, they're like, well, you need to do that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm never doing anything for you ever again.
Because you're afraid of getting like up there, someone choking you out.
People complain to me, and I can see that people are actively pissed. And it doesn't matter that I'm not making the rules. I'm the person that's talking. So I did it their way. It was a mess. Everybody was pissed off. I was super pissed off. I'm like, I'm never helping you again. Like, I will finish what I've said I would do, but after that, I'm done. I'm not fighting with people for this. I'm volunteering.
Yep.
And I'm not looking for aggravation.
Yep.
So I was already scheduled with them to do a dance. So I went to do the dance like a month or 2 later.
Yep.
And they hired someone else and never told me that. We're like, well, you said you weren't going to do anything. I said I would finish everything we had scheduled because we're.
Yep.
But then I think they just didn't tell me
yeah.
Screw you. And then like, I can't confirm any of this, but I got removed from all those groups and everything, and my wife did too.
Yep.
They yanked her back into the group here a month or so ago because they didn't say anything to her. They just put her back into it. But the talk was their DJ wanted $1,000 or something for 2 hours, and they can't afford that.
Yep.
They didn't ask her if I would do it.
Yep.
But it was like the only reason they drug her back in there for that part of the discussion, and then she was kicked back out when she didn't say anything. And then they canceled the dance 2 days out. So I'm thinking that at least if they would have not pissed me off, they would have had a free DJ.
Yeah.
Because I've given up trying to make money as a DJ because it's just such a. I don't know how much a DJ should cost for the average thing.
Yeah.
And
like
I'm
the
either
market rate.
so far under or so far higher to everybody's expectations.
Yep.
Even if I come in with the same number every time.
Yep.
I have friends that pay $4,000 for a wedding DJ.
Yep.
And I have people complaining because I want to charge $200.
Yeah.
I did one 2 or 3 years ago where it was someone. I don't want to say it was someone that I knew regularly was their family. I don't want to say because but it was multiple places. So the wedding was outside in one place, and then the reception was inside at another place. So I had to set up at one place and set up another place. I set up 2 different places. Time in between, and we're talking probably 7 hours total.
Yep.
I'm like, friend and family. I'm like, I'll do it for like $200.
Yep.
So I did it. He's like, no problem. I'll make sure you're paid ahead of time. Day comes. I set up everything. I was supposed to be paid ahead of time. Never was paid. Everything's taken care of. The wedding was kind of a disaster because everybody has these grand ideas and it never works out.
Yep.
And they like, well, do this, do this, do this. I'm like, none of those things are things that I do. It's like you do those things and I support those things.
Yep.
Like, I don't throw the garter, but I will play music while you throw the garter. And they're like, we need to do this, we need to do that, but I want to do this. I'm like, till they got to the parts where like they wanted to do that stuff, they drug their feet for so long that none of those things, like there was no garter toss, there was no flower, because they just did weird stuff and it never got that far. I still haven't been paid. Place is emptied out. I took all my equipment down, took it out, come back in. I'm like, so you got to pay me. I'm like, well, I don't have the money. I'm like, you're supposed to pay me ahead of time. I should have charged you like $3,000 for the amount of work that I did, and I only charged you $200. You're supposed to pay me ahead of time, and you don't have any money with you. When were you planning on paying me? So she, like, instead of the husband going with the wife on the honeymoon, he had to run to the bank and get me money.
Hey, they should have thought about it, man. I hate that, like, when you do someone a favor or you're helping them out, and then they get mad at you for some reason, or they get, like, all, like, angry.
At $200, I'm like, I might lose the money for the day. Like, my equipment's bought and stuff, but, of course, there's going to be requests, which means I got to use bandwidth, and I have to buy songs because, of course, they have to have country songs that I don't own, and it's like blah, 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 all this stuff. So, like, there is a cost involved, but I basically made, like, $2 an hour, and I had to fight for that $2 an hour. And then they're, like, mad at me because I'm asking for it. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Ultimately, you're doing something nice for them. You're helping them out and stuff like that. And then people, and when we see that all the time, like, people turn around and you're doing them a favor and stuff like that. And then, people say, hey, that's what I get for, like, helping out, or that's what I get, trying to be the good guy. I turn out to be the jerk. Even though I'm trying to help people out. It's just crazy. It's entitlement, We could go into a whole episode of that, but...
Well, that's why I hate trying to make money as a DJ, because I've never made enough money as a DJ in any one year to claim it on my taxes, which tells you how underpriced I am and how often I actually have paying jobs.
You gotta be quiet about that, like how much in terms of money you're making in IRS. We don't want the IRS listening.
No, I specifically keep my prices low enough so I don't have to claim them on my taxes. I mean, at some point you can't. Like, if I was doing 15 shows a year, I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
But usually I do 1 or 2 paying shows a year, maybe. Like, I'm doing the prom for She Told Me this year. I'm charging them below the taxable threshold, and I have nothing else paying scheduled for this year. So unless I pick up something else, I won't have to declare this on my taxes. And that's probably the way it's going to go. And that's the way it is every year. I always charge less than that. I think it's like $600 or whatever. I always charge less than that. But I'm like, an 8-hour wedding and with multiple locations, me by myself, moving equipment, hooking up equipment for $200, and I had to fight you to pay me. I'm like, come on, is this necessary? It's like, I do roller derby for free because at one point they offered to pay me, and I'm like, you can't afford me. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I would charge this much. I know that's more than you bring in at the door. So you can let me play the music I want, which everybody seems to be okay with, and let me do what I want for free, or you can lose $600 every time we do this, and just mind your business. Because I'm not doing anything offensive. Everybody, because my playlists go up, people like my playlists, so I'm like, just don't worry about it. I really hate when I do something for somebody, and they pay me, but it's like there's an insulting amount. It's like, I would rather have nothing. Because if you get pissed off and we fight, you're going to say you paid me, but you paid me such a small amount that it's an insulting amount. It's not a high enough amount that where you can say you paid me. It's like if you paid $1 for a new car, I paid you for that car, but you paid me $1 for that car. And that's the situation I keep finding myself in lately. So anymore, I just do it for free. Like, I am charging for the prom, but it's not because it's at the high school. I'm going to have event insurance and stuff like that, so I'm not going to make any money. I'm basically got to break even for that. But that sort of thing is it's crazy that I can't figure out how much to charge, because no matter how much I say, people either like immediately jump on it, like that's super cheap, or it's like, I can't afford that.
I don't know. Just back to the name of the podcast. I thought of something, and you mentioned it while you were talking about bingo, like that equally distributed. So what about like equally distributed shiny things or something? Just because it's so like randomly talking about such random things, or let's kind of riff on that one maybe a bit.
So shiny,
equally distributed shiny things.
I would say shiny equality or something, but that would get us something different. Shiny. Huh. I don't think any of my family's here. I think I must call them down and give an idea. But so shiny. What's another thing we could call hobbies?
Obsessions, compulsions.
Shiny compulsions. That might be taken. That's got to be taken. We're gonna search this one. I got a text from somebody. Oh, okay. That was okay. So shiny compulsions. We gotta have one big problem. Is I don't think I'm gonna be able to spell compulsions. Shiny compulsion. All right. Do we have it? Is there a show? Maybelline has a line called that. Walmart carries it.
Yes, we get our cease and desist letter.
Is there one? Something shiny. I think we might have one. Maybe. I'm not seeing one.
Okay.
I think we might have something. So shiny compulsions.
Yep.
So how do we spell shiny? Do we use the E or do we not use the E?
I think we should be fancy and use the E.
Yeah.
So we stick out.
That's all I always try to do. All right. I'm going to double check with that. There's one called Shiny Podcast, Shiny Season. I think that we are good.
Oh.
I'm going to have to do a little bit more digging.
Yep.
But I think that might work.
We got a working title at least.
So, the Shiny Compulsion Podcast.
Yep.
So that's going to be our working title for this first episode. And then I'm going to go upload it to Spotify, and it's going to be taken. I searched, and it's not there yet. So I'll have to...
Better get up quick.
I'll have to go and double check everything. But usually if you check for Facebook, and if there's a Facebook page for it, because there's Facebook pages for everything.
Yeah.
Because there's people like me that have 10,000 Facebook pages. So let me look up Shiny Compulsions. I'm also going to have to learn how to spell that. Shiny Compulsion. I can't spell it. Shiny. I just spelled it right on Google. Shiny. Well, it just keeps wanting to change it to compilation.
I hate that lately. All the autocorrect, and you're like, no, that's not what I want. And you type it again, and it keeps autocorrecting into some random thing.
Yeah, that's what it keeps doing. I don't know what shiny computation. What did I
Shiny mathematical computations.
Why is autocorrect not making this compulsion? There, finally, after 15 tries. All right, so Shiny Compulsion on Facebook. It looks like the top search thing is Night at Shine at the Sunbury Bible Church.
Ooh.
Or Shine Down's official fan page.
Oh, wow.
I think we have an official.
Okay. Make that page quick.
And we'll have a theme song and a logo by the end of the night.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out how to make a page on here, but oh, there it is. So I'm going to have to figure out how to spell it. So I'm going to use spell check. So the Shiny Compulsion. Got it right. Podcast. So we are officially, we have a page.
Whoop, whoop.
And is it created? We gotta get approved. It's doing the little loading thing.
The circles are spinning.
Yeah, I don't know why it's taking so long. And it went through, so it looks like we do have that. And I'm gonna leave it all blank for now. I'll fill it in later. And
we have a winner.
We are done. So I have that set up, and it is loading our page with nothing on it, because we have nothing. So the Shiny Compulsion Podcast is officially on Facebook.
Yay.
And I guess I'll probably, if the video is okay, which at this point, I don't know how many hours we've been going. I'm sure I filled the memory up on that, so there might not be too much video. It might just be audio.
Yep.
honestly, for as long as we've been recording, I might fill this computer full too.
Yep. So do you think this might be a good point to stop for this episode?
I think a good point to stop was probably an hour and a half or 2
Probably,
hours ago.
but I think we got the name, so we have accomplished our task.
Yeah, so it looks like we have our official name, we have our Facebook page, and we have at least audio recording for multiple hours here, because it's 5:30 something now. I don't know what time we started.
I'm not sure. We should have probably done that, but...
Yeah, well, I'll be able to see it once I'm going to switch my timestamp from beats to... we're over 4,000 measures.
Yep, for all you musical people out there.
So it's not quantized, so I'm not sure how long the measures are. But it's going to be long. But we'll have an episode. Honestly, this might be 2 episodes. I might have to cut it in half.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
But I'm going to upload it onto Spotify because I already have a Spotify page.
Nice.
To upload stuff. And then if there's video, it'll be on YouTube. And if there's video, I'll put it on YouTube, and then I'll put it on Facebook. And then we can share the Facebook page. I'm going to share it on our No Drama Llamas trivia page for our 7 followers.
Yeah, and then we'll share it with all our friends. Look at our new compulsion.
Yeah, and then I'll share it on my roller derby page, and I'm sure I'll get a couple people to follow from there.
Yep.
But I have less than 200 on there.
Yep.
But maybe your friends of the friends of the friends will listen, because I would get a lot of listens to my podcast before, because just friends and friends.
Yeah, listen. Checking it out, see what it's about.
We'll see what happens here. So, do we have an idea for the second episode?
Nope, but we'll probably think of it, or we'll probably think of 500 ideas as the show goes on next time.
Yeah, I thought we would try to explain our setup here, but we spent so long talking about the name and everything else that we never got to that. So we
can definitely do that.
We could set up our studio and maybe record like time-lapse video of that and put that music behind it or something.
Yeah.
I used to do time-lapse videos all the time when I was painting, one of my many hobbies.
Yeah.
But I think we need to stop before we keep talking to another subject. So we don't have an official sign-off or anything yet.
Nope, not yet.
So we'll have to think of something for that. So I guess I usually just would say bye, see you next time, or this is Ryan / Roller Baron. This is
Tim, and have a great night.
Yep. Or day, or
whenever you listen to this.
Whatever you do. And I'm going to stop recording now, so there might still be bonus stuff after this.
Oh, secret bonus scenes.
Yeah, we don't have Patreon yet. I don't know if people would pay me for anything to listen to that I do, but maybe we'd be interesting enough. But all right, I'm going to stop now, because if not, we'll keep talking.
Okay.
See, we're serious when we talk about stuff forever, and you see or heard this today. This is the way that it works.
Yep,
and
exactly.
There's 2 of us, so we could never stop.
Yep.
We could 24/7 live until we fall asleep.
Yep, exactly.
Bye.
Bye-bye.